free NFL Playoff Challenge now. Sponsored by Lucra. Click the link in our app or at bettersports.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seat. The show is about to begin.
Presented by BYOB Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon. Joined as always by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garofalo. Our friend Coop with us, aka Coop A. Fiasco. What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garofalo and Andrew Cooper. What's up, boys?
What up?
Good morning.
I just realized that my name is misspelled on the intro of our own show.
Maybe your
Truly?
name is misspelled in your own brain.
Oh, could be.
Pretty easy to change that. You're over 18, right? It might be easier. Might be easier to change your name than change the intro.
That's true. I'll look into that. I'll see if I can do that next
Weren't
show.
you going to change it to John Tavius Liverstone anyways?
It's already John Tavius.
Oh, you were going to change it to John Luke, away from John Tavius Liverstone.
John Tavius Liverstone Galapagos.
Galapagos the third, actually.
Well, and the reason you wanted to change it was because of the shame that the Liverstone aspect of your name is brought upon your family, right?
My family has a lot of baggage, as does most family. Mine just happens to include a little bit of murder.
Liverstone murder.
Murder, you say.
A murder most foul.
Liverstone name.
Well, Joe, we missed you yesterday.
I missed you
on the
guys.
show yesterday. How was Jerry? You had to go deal with a guy named Jerry or something like that?
Was fantastic. I dodged a 5-day murder trial.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was very scared. They threw us in there. If you don't know, when jury duty, at least here in Baltimore, they throw you into a room. It's like you got a number. They throw a bunch of people with numbers into this room. And then they ask you a bunch of questions to try and rule you out. Well, of course, the very first question they hit me with, I'm sitting there and they're like, do you feel strongly about murder? And everyone around me stands up and I'm like, oh no. They're gonna think I'm pro murder now. Like, what do I do? I'm just the normal kind of everyday anti-murder, but I'm not. What am I supposed to say here? And so I kind of lean up, but I don't get up. The next question, same thing, but firearms, and I'm like, oh, I don't do it.
Yeah,
but I didn't get selected. Luckily, I didn't want to be there 5 days.
Well, the thing is, Joe, they already knew they weren't selecting you. The first thing they do is they walk around the waiting area and they see if there's any grown men playing Pokemon.
I was.
And they immediately eliminate those guys. So
perfect. I'm bringing my Switch every time now.
I'm bringing my Switch, dude, which I didn't get yet, but I'm gonna. You know what I
thought you ordered it to the Target. What a
preposterous question for them to ask you, JL. To ask you, do you feel strongly about murder? Like, what
am I supposed to say?
Right?
I'm just
like,
I didn't know something had to qualify.
I feel murder's pretty bad.
Yeah, I would say I'm definitely against murder.
They're probably looking for those people that are like, yeah, I love true crime and I'm in all the subreddits and I actually solved 2 of them before they, the police did. You know what I mean? That's what I would say. And they'd be like,
that's me. That might be me.
They'd be like, all right, this guy's in.
This guy's 100%.
This guy's he's gonna take this seriously. I was on Reddit solving the Boston Marathon bombing. They'd be like, this guy.
They were like, we solved that years ago.
This is the guy. This is
Texas Galapagos.
He's like, that was me. Yeah.
How you get selected for jury duty? Let's all come up with a surefire way to make sure you don't get selected. I think if you show up in full detective gear and you're just a little bit too excited about solving the crime, especially if it isn't a murder. Know what I mean? Like if it's like petty theft or something along
you
those
show up in a
lines.
Sherlock
And
hat.
you show up ready to go.
No, you're right, Simon. I definitely saw people trying to get out of it, which is just very funny to see because they go super extra with it.
Yeah, you
It's
show
wild.
up wearing a shirt that just says like an eye for an eye.
It has a picture of the defendant on the shirt somehow.
Yeah.
But it's like this little game you play where no one wants to get selected, but no one is like actually saying anything about it. It's like you got this like little dressing on it because it's just this lottery
Right.
system where if you get picked, it sucks. People are sitting there like, oh.
The thing is, they also are looking for those people that want to get selected, and they want to eliminate them too. Like they're trying to find the people that would hate it. Like,
Don't want to be there.
just enough. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't want to be there, but they'll do just a good enough job.
Just enough to you don't want anybody that's gonna like deliberate for hours, right?
Right.
So you got to find the people that most medium want to be there.
Yeah, the medium
So
people are.
here's the
Which I was scared of
ideal-
because I'm the medium person.
Well, I think here's the ideal jury candidate is someone who doesn't particularly want to do jury duty, but more than that, doesn't want to go to work. I think is who they're looking
They'll
for.
take
Know
for
what I mean?
$30 a day just to not go to work.
Exactly. They're looking for the guy that like lives his corporate life every single day. It's all exactly the same. Or the woman who's going to the same job every single day, not happy with it. They've flirted with quitting for years now, but can't quite muster the courage because of the stability it provides. But a 5-day murder trial, that's the
Boy,
reprieve
that's
they need.
vacation.
It's
That's a
vacation.
5-day Netflix binge right
Exactly. They're gonna play Pokemon and watch Netflix, and they're
there.
gonna
You can't do that while you're on a trial.
they're gonna just sneak it
Oh,
in.
yeah?
And play Pokemon
Sir,
during the trial.
juror number 6, are you playing
Are you
Pokemon
playing Pokemon
and watching Netflix with their AirPods in?
I plead the fifth.
I actually have my AirPods in, so if you could get my attention before you speak to me, that would be great.
Yeah, I can't
Your Honor.
hear you.
Back before there were wireless headphones, my buddy used to take
Said Your Honor. Like, I'm just
Your
imagining they're
Honor.
dressing the court, and then he's like, Your Honor, please.
Your Honor, I would put this away, but this is a shiny here, so I have to
Yeah.
catch this first. And
Your Honor, come on.
the judge is like, we're gonna take a brief break. Make sure we get the shiny sand shrew, and then we'll get back to work. I don't know why I picked like the hardest one to say, dude. I picked like a tongue twister.
Sand shrew, yeah.
Shiny sand shrew. 3
Shiny
shiny sand
sand
shrews
shrew.
sitting by the shore. Yeah. I forget what I was actually going to say.
Sorry, Coop, to interrupt you. I was just
Oh,
completely
now I
wildly
remember.
thrown off by Simon's saying.
My buddy in high school was so committed to, or it was middle school actually, so committed to not paying attention to the teacher that he took headphones like the one Simon has, and he took his sweatshirt, right? And he cut a hole here on the inside of his sweatshirt and ran his earbuds up. So he put his iPod in this pocket through the hole up into the arm of his sleeve. That's where he would keep his headphone, and then he would just sit there in class like this.
High schoolers and middle schoolers take real dedication to
Yeah.
not paying attention.
Just
to class.
yeah, like he rigged up like an audio system through his own sleeves just so he could sit there listening to like Dashboard Confessional or whatever he would listen to back then.
Some 41 in the middle of class.
Right.
Something to just drive that angst home a little further into his 12-year-old brain.
Not realize I was muted that whole time.
Because the entire time we didn't hear a single thing about jury duty. We were
Classic.
just ad-libbing. We got some people in the chat ready for the show this morning. Excuse me. Tommy in here saying it is January 10th on a cold winter morn. Who wins the big game? I'm excited but torn. Will Saquon show up? Will Jefferson fly high? Will the Chiefs be rusty after the bye? I like the Bills, but fear Tyreek. So many questions to be answered this week. We do have a ton of questions to be answered this week, and I'm excited to get them answered. This feels like a wide open playoffs. Like there's a couple different directions I think that are more likely to happen, but this whole playoffs just reeks of excitement. I can't wait. I can't wait for it to get going.
It stinks like fun.
It stinks like fun.
That's fun. I smell.
I wish I could smell better right now because I bet it smells so good.
Oh, it smells great.
Yeah, it smells real fun.
Well, guys,
I like how sometimes Tommy drops the rap, but sometimes Tommy drops like a contemplative poem. Like today, today's one was like it was deep. It was like
I was waiting for him to enter like his
Frost.
slam poetry phase.
where we start getting like slam poems we have
Just
to perform up here.
Gibberish, dude. Yeah, where we have to we have to like shut the lights down and sit on like a really tall stool.
Exactly.
Entirely too tall.
Entirely.
Wear a fedora. My t-shirt's going to be much too small, but my jacket's going to be much too big.
Your buttons are gonna be bursting.
Oh, exactly. The ones that
That's-
are buttoned, that is.
That's art. That's art. To me, that's cinema.
Tommy
To
says
me-
JL on the bongos.
That's cinnamon.
On the bongos.
That's the bongo sounds like.
Jail, what kind of bongos are you playing?
You sound that sounded more like a whistle at a pride parade.
That sounds like jail's sending Morse code in the military, but he's like, guys, I have like he's the best. He is the best signal sender in military history. But he's got his own system. He doesn't use the keyboard, he doesn't use the mouse, he doesn't use any sort of instrument.
He uses the bongos.
You have the Donkey Kong bongos that were made for the Wii game for Donkey Kong that you have wired up.
I know
to the
exactly
computer,
what you're talking
and you
about.
send Morse code using your little Donkey Kong bongos.
I know exactly what you're talking about, Simon. I know exactly where to get a pair.
Where? GameStop?
My friend's basement.
Oh yeah.
Hell,
Guys,
Shout
we're-
out Andres.
It is that time
the
of
cool friend who has that stuff.
Exactly.
Andres, if you've got the bongos and you're watching, come up on here and show them to us right now.
Do it.
But
Do it.
until
Show
then,
us your bongos.
show us your bongos. It is that time of morning. I hope everyone brought something to eat because we brought everything else. We brought the stories. We brought the news topics. We brought the things to talk about. You guys just got to bring your own breakfast. John Luke, you bring any breakfast this morning? Coop did.
Oh, I brought an empty juice cup.
Was it always empty or did you bring it full of something?
I'm just happy to see you.
Of course. Was there cotton candy in there? Tommy wants to know.
Yep.
Man, cotton candy's delicious, isn't it?
Why
It's
is
one of
cotton
those-
candy so good?
It's
Just
sugar.
about the worst breakfast food though.
I don't know, man. Farts is pretty bad breakfast food. I'd rather have cotton candy than farts and
That's true.
over English muffins.
You'd rather have farts than English muffins? I'll have you guys know, speaking of terrible breakfast foods, I did acquire a tomato. I sent you guys a picture of it.
You did. It's today the day.
Might be able to eat it by the end of the show. I looked at it this morning. I looked at it and I was like, I cannot
Looked
eat
back
that
at you.
one.
We need to get
it
some
looked like me.
googly eyes on that tomato.
Not eat it right now. Cannot eat it right this very moment. I had to grab like a banana or something else, but I will eat that tomato.
You know what, Coop? Out of
This week.
solidarity,
This week.
I'm gonna mock you the entire time you eat it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
I'm trying because I'm like looking at this thing, and dude, I'm like, you couldn't have got a smaller tomato to Kate, and she's like,
She's like,
she was like, first of all,
like there were smaller
yeah,
tomatoes.
she
but I
did
didn't
say
get
that.
them.
She was like, she was awesome. She's like, most of them were bigger, but all the ones that were smaller looked gross. And I was like, all right, that's fair. This is the one then.
You're like, this one looks gross.
This is the one. It does look gross. But to me, they all look gross. So. Very excited about that. Coming up this
Guys,
week.
The first thing I wanted to bring up that happened yesterday that I think we should probably talk about is the final score of that national championship game. The Georgia Bulldogs were 13.5-point favorites, but it wasn't nearly enough. They ended up winning 65-7 with TCU's only touchdown coming at the beginning of the first quarter. 65-7 for UGA to win the national title. Wasn't even
I want to
close.
say I was surprised, but I wasn't.
I mean, based on my observations, that's just your average score of a college football game, is it not?
But in the national championship, that's absurd.
That is pretty big gap for the national championship. But looking at these two teams coming in, I mean, I didn't even think TCU was going to make it into the playoffs. So, I mean, I think they were on borrowed time anyway. Georgia's just a powerhouse.
Trivia question, and I imagine they mentioned him yesterday, but who's the best NFL player to come out of TCU? There's a pretty clear answer.
Gary Barnidge.
Close, but this guy's a little better.
I'm guessing it's one of the all-time greats that I don't remember went to TCU.
So I'll give you guys some hints. It's a running back.
Thomas.
So that's actually close. His last name sounds like that.
Lamas.
That actually also, if you put those together, you actually got to get his last name.
Talamas.
Talamas.
Tamale.
Tamales. Tom
Okay.
Lias.
LaDainian Tomlinson.
LaDainian Tomlinson.
Okay.
Impressive work, detectives.
That was the
Elementary.
poetry route of getting there.
Slam-
La Thomas.
Play slam
Thomas.
poetry.
Tamale.
I can't believe you guys.
Tomlinson.
It is crazy impressive that you guys just kind of felt that out by throwing random words out there. What'd you say? Thomas Lamas, and then within 5 seconds of that, you had the name.
We had LaDainian.
The only hint I gave you was running back, and you were like Thomas Lamas. Yes, LaDainian
I was
Tomlinson.
gonna say Thomas Aquinas.
Yes, everyone in the chat actually knew the answer.
Oh, yeah.
Tommy,
LT.
Ern Dog. Yeah, not you guys. You're supposed to have a football show. You're up here like Thomas Lamas.
I'd like to say I'm embarrassed.
That's how I
But I'm
draft too. I just start going through sounds until a player name comes to mind.
Yeah, I mean,
Thomas Lamas. Ladamalus Thomas.
would that lead you to draft this year?
Josh Jacobs and Darnell Mooney. So you
Yeah.
win some, you lose some.
1-for-2.
1 for 2. No, the 65-7 scoreline was absolutely absurd. Shout out UGA. Congrats to all the Bulldog fans and UGA players on another national championship. See if they can do a three-peat next year.
So
do you guys-
apparently they're going to extend the playoffs next year. I think
Is
that'll
it next year goes into effect?
probably not. Knowing these guys, they always announce something and then it's like 2029 we're going to do that, and then no one even cares by that
When
point.
you're in your 30s, we'll enact
So
this rule.
it is not next season, but it is the following season, the 2024-2025 season that they're expanding to 12 teams.
Yeah. So
Next year's gonna suck.
I think the bigger the tournament is, the better odds you have of narrowing it down to high quality teams. You know what I mean? Especially like the basketball tournament, where it's like usually by the you'll have upsets throughout. The basketball tournament I feel is perfect because it's like March Madness I'm talking about, because you have like so many teams and there's room for upsets, but it still gets narrowed down generally to the better teams. Whereas if you have these like a 4-team tournament, any team can kind of win one game,
Yeah. No, I feel you. I think it'll lead to a better championship game, better semifinals, better championship games. The first round games, we likely will get bad games in the first round. We've already gotten plenty of blowouts with it only being a 4-team format. We're going to get some more blowouts with it being a 12-team format, but that's okay. I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, I
We
just
got
want to make
Mason
sure.
in the chat said morning. We got Maria in here said morning. Morning, friends. And then Mason said, I'm a Bengals fan and I'm scared because if we win, we go against the Bills.
Hey, don't be scared yet. You got to get that win first, but I think you guys got it. Worry about the Ravens and then the Bills coming up.
The Bengals are one of those teams that can beat any team. You know what I mean? Like there's a line sometimes in the sand. I know in the NFL, any given Sunday parity, blah blah blah. But certain teams cannot beat other teams. But to me, the Bengals are a team that can beat any team. We've seen them go toe to toe with the Chiefs. They can beat the Bills. I mean, what more do you need? There are some teams. I mean, I look at the Patriots and I'm like, this team's not beating the Chiefs, right? Like, so I wouldn't be that scared if I'm a Bengal fan. Plus, you guys got, unlike some of these other teams, we talked about this yesterday. You guys got all your key pieces locked up for multiple years. They extended Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow all on rookie deals. Like, if you guys don't win this year, it's not the end of the world. Whereas some of the, like, if the Buccaneers don't win this year, it kind of is the end.
Yeah, I'm sure Bengals fans still want a title out there this year, though.
Oh,
And
of course,
you guys got a
they do.
shot. You guys got a shot.
I like that point you brought up, Coop, about not many teams really have that chance.
Right.
And I do agree with that. I think the Bengals are separated from some of these other teams that are wild card teams, like even Miami at this point, right? If Tua is not playing, it's like I don't think you're going to be able to hold up against Buffalo.
Yeah. Now, what other teams from this playoffs fit that bill? Do you think when you look
Dallas,
you think Dallas can beat anybody?
I think
I
so.
agree.
I think they're good enough. They could. I'm not as confident that they would, just because their team feels not as ready in these high pressure situations where I feel like the Bengals are they've been there a little bit more recently.
What do you think about the Ravens with Lamar Jackson? Are they in that category of beat any team?
I think they can, yeah, with Lamar.
The funniest one is the Vikings because we know they can, but we know they can also lose by 40 then.
Yeah. Vikings are like the Giants a little bit better, like a
Right.
little better version of the Giants.
Now the only other
Chargers I
team
would put in there.
Chargers are a good one.
The only two other team kind of when I look around here that I feel like falls in the category of maybe can't beat any team, the Seahawks to me don't feel like they're quite on that level. Like if you give me the Seahawks versus the Chiefs or Seahawks versus the Eagles, I don't know, man. I feel like the spread should be like 10, right?
Yeah. Seahawks, Jacksonville, they're kind of both in that category.
Yeah. Jacksonville is another one where if you don't win the Super Bowl, you can still feel really good about the organization right now and the direction. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then Tom Brady can beat any team at any time. In one game.
That's why I started coming around to the idea of wanting Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs as well, right? With that last spot over on that side. Because similar to Tom Brady, he can beat anybody as well any given week. Like Aaron Rodgers, you throw him out there. I'm not considering the Packers an easy win for any other team in the playoffs. But I'm excited to see Geno out there. But I was convincing myself that I wanted some more Aaron Rodgers on the Packers in the playoffs.
I'm excited to see Tom Brady in the booth. As much as I want him to play forever as long as he wants, but I'm interested to see what that's going to be like. Do you think he's going to be any good?
I don't know, because sometimes these guys that are so good at football, they're a level above. One, they're weird, but two, they're a level above being able to kind of talk football to the average football consumer. You know what I mean? Like I think Tony Romo's found a great balance between like analytical and the common football consumer and the way he does it. Tom Brady, I'm not sure, man. I haven't seen it from him, so I don't know if he's able to do it.
Tony Romo, like I love Tony Romo so much that he was outright rooting for the Bills this week, and I was like, that's okay. You know, as a Patriots fan, I'm like, yeah, you know, they got a pretty good story. It's okay to root, but he was straight up just rooting for the Bills. But that's Simon, that's such a great point you make about him potentially being too technical. I've actually seen that happen before, not in football, but in NASCAR. Jeff Gordon, when he retired and came out, he went right into the booth, and and I've been to multiple races, you know, I know a little bit, but like he was saying some stuff and I'm like, Jeff, dude, like you're talking to me like the way the mechanic talks to me when he's about to rip me off. You know what I mean? Like I have no idea what you just said. And now he dialed it back and he does a great job now. But when he first came out, he was like talking about like, I can't even like make up car words, dude. The
torque rotor was going counterclockwise on the wind angle.
Exactly. Literally, that's what it sounded like. It sounded exactly like that to me, dude. So I've seen that before, and it is a concern that he might go a little bit high level for everybody out there.
We got Trenton in the chat said morning. Albert here too. Good morning, everyone. Craig said buenos dias, mis amigos.
Hey,
buenos dias, Craig.
Hey,
buenos dias.
Sacapuntas.
Trenton with a good question here said, where can I see guys to do my own dynasty scouting? But there must be something more in depth out there. What do you guys use to watch some college tape?
So generally where I'll start is
YouTube.
It's fun to start with highlights, 100%. Like I will go in and I will start with their highlight reel, but then I'm going to go through the game logs for the college and I'm going to pick out a couple games, a game where they won and did well, a game where it was close, and a game where they lost, and maybe a fourth game just for fun. And then if you type in that player and that game onto YouTube, usually you can find a compilation of every single one of their plays during that game, especially if they're from like a Power 5 school. If they're from an SEC, ACC, Pac-12, Big 10, or Big 12 school, you can generally find like the player-by-player breakdowns on YouTube. And then that shows you all their plays, not just their highlights, because you want to see them blocking if they're a running back. You want to see their routes run if they're a wide receiver. You don't just want to watch the plays where they killed it.
That's the key, man. That's the key. And I'll be honest with you, Trenton, when it comes to my process, like actually watching film isn't a huge part of it. It is part of it, but the thing about film and the problem that I run into is that you don't know what the NFL scouts are looking for. Not only are we not part of the conversations that they're having, both with the player and without the player, but we don't know what they consider to be deficiencies that can be corrected or not. So, for example, if we're sitting there and we're watching a wide receiver, right, and we think that he has bad footwork, right? Say his first step is bad. We might look at that and say, this guy's first step is bad. I don't want him. The Steelers might look at this guy and say, hey, this guy has everything we look for. He needs help on his footwork, but we've had success with that in the past. Let's take this guy in the 3rd or 4th round. We'll fix his footwork up, and then he'll be our next, George Pickens. Like that team has been unbelievable at finding guys like Emmanuel Sanders, Antonio Brown, you name it, like across the board from the later rounds and fixing them. So for us, it's so difficult to watch this and say, what is a deficiency that can't be corrected? What is and what isn't. So for me, I don't lean too much into my own personal scouting. It seems time consuming for something that at the end of the day, we don't know. We're not scouts. You know what I mean? So just my 2 cents on that. I watch highlights to get an idea of what type of player it is. And then I draft the types of players that fit for my format, right? Full PPR. I want guys that are going to rack up targets. Half PPR, best ball or standard. I want guys that are like field stretchers, making big plays, that type of thing. So just wanted to weigh in a little bit on that because it is tricky, the whole scouting thing,
Absolutely. It can get tricky. John Luke, what about you? Do you watch highlights?
Yeah, highlights, and I do a similar thing that you do, Simon, in terms of looking up the exact games on YouTube. You can typically find it, or just a compilation of their plays, not necessarily just the highlights, the best plays.
Yeah. Craig in here saying too many Clemson players on Jacksonville for them to win it all. That's true.
Ooh,
100%
I love
true,
that,
yeah.
Craig. You guys don't fall for the Craig bait anymore. He casts it out there regularly, but you guys don't bite.
He'll get us. Every once in a while he almost gets me. He dangles one out there that like elicits the reaction, but I catch myself before I let it out loud.
You just gotta do the cat paw away. Yeah,
the
cat paw that bait away.
The cat paw is fairly similar to the Komodo dragon. Komodo dragon you just take the cat paw down.
it's an upside down Komodo dragon.
It's a little Komodo dragon.
Guys, you see Alan Lazard said that he's played his last game with the Green Bay Packers.
I did see that. I didn't watch the associated video. I just read the tweet. So if it was out of context at all, then I didn't see him say it out loud. But I saw the tweet saying he said it with a video, I'm assuming, of him saying it.
It's just him in a press conference. So yeah. Or in the locker room after the game.
I mean, that was expected, right? We knew he was a free agent after this year, and there had been no talks at this point. Like usually if they're going to re-sign a player like that, you at least hear rumors like they're working towards a deal. They've got something in front of them. I expected Alan Lazard to walk. Now I'm curious where he ends up because he's not the kind of wide receiver that just plug and play same production that he's had in Green Bay. I don't think he's a touchdown machine. He's a big touchdown machine, but we'll see what team he ends up on. Coop, are there any spots you're going to be a little excited for Mr. Lazard if he ends up next year?
It's hard with a player like that because he's so good at blocking that you run into teams that grab a guy like that specifically because he's such a good run blocker, and then they're not good at. They play a ton of snaps and they're not good at fantasy football.
Yeah,
Sammy Watkins every time. Corey Davis is another example where it's like they love Corey Davis. Corey Davis plays a ton of snaps because he crushes people in the run game, but he's like not that amazing in the pass game. I could see Alan Lazard going to like the Titans or somebody like that, or a team that the Ravens, JL, you know what I mean, and just he would be perfect on the Ravens. He'd be a great
Classic Ravens player, right there.
Classic split guard, you know what I mean, playing like Willie Snead role, just out there blocking. But I encourage you guys to watch the video because the context of it was they asked him if he thinks 12 will be back. And he was like, dropped a couple swear words. Was like, I don't know.
I just turned on. He said, I don't effing know.
Yeah.
Just immediately. He goes, psh, I don't effing know. Whenever they asked him if Aaron Rodgers.
And then he goes, I don't know if I'll be here. Right. So, it sounds like he knows he's on his way out too. So
the way he said that also sounds like he's sick of Aaron Rodgers BS is what that sounds like.
It does sound like that. Like, I don't care. I don't know. And I don't care. Like,
why
are you asking me about him?
I'm going to worry about me. He can worry about him is what that said right there. Like, I'm not too concerned about where 12 ends up.
Which we know Aaron Rodgers is kind of a butt to his wide receivers. It's kind of a big old butt.
Not Randall Cobb. Him and Randall Cobb walked off the field arm in arm. Not arm in arm. That'd be funny if they hooked arms like this and
I was
walked off
imagining
the
like
field.
because I feel like Aaron Rodgers got to be like way taller than Randall Cobb.
And when they
No, but
when
he
they-
did have his arm around his shoulder. But I'm like, what if they hooked arms like Wizard of Oz style and skipped down
and
the
skipped
tunnel?
off, and then they right before they walked off the field, they
Slumber
stopped.
party.
They stopped right before they got off the field, and they looked up, and there was the ghost of Jordy Nelson just looking down at them like, "Hey."
It was really just Jordy Nelson who got nosebleed seats.
In the stand, with he's in the stands, and there's like a really bright light behind him, but he's like, "Hey,
It's Jordy.
come to the light."
No,
Jordy
Jordy, you come
Nelson's
down here.
old man, number 2 overall fantasy wide receiver year, won me so many championships that year, just over. And I don't know why I drafted Jordy Nelson everywhere, but then he just blew up that year. He
Our
lives in a
generation.
special place in my heart.
Our generation's Adam Thielen.
Jordy Nelson. Isn't our generation's Adam Thielen? Adam Thielen?
Well, then our parents' generation's Adam Thielen was Jordy Nelson, and
There we
our
go.
grandparents' Jordy Nelson was Steve Largent.
And there, Jordy Nelson was Obadiah Longfellow.
Jebediah.
I was
Obadiah
gonna say,
Jebediah Longfellow. Yes, of course.
I was gonna say Don Hudson.
I was going to
Don
say
Hudson.
Doug Hudson. So
What team
We
did
were
Don
close.
What team did Don Hudson play
Tomato.
for?
Tomato.
Trivia.
the Houston Oilers.
Raiders.
So close. He played for the Green Bay Packers.
Very close.
Close. Very close.
Tommy, you know who Don Hudson is, right?
He said
Somebody-
Lance
Somebody in the chat.
Stallworth.
Somebody in
That's
the
not
chat.
Don Hudson.
No,
in the
that's
chat.
not Don
Stallworth.
Hudson. That's Lance Stallworth.
There
That's
we
a totally
go.
different guy.
Thank goodness.
Totally different guy. Another guy who has indicated that he no longer wants to be on the team is Ari Marov. Ari Marov has decided he doesn't want to be on his own team. He tweeted out that Brandon Cooks indicated that he hopes to be traded this offseason because at some point in his career, he doesn't want to be part of. Excuse me. He said he doesn't want to be part of a rebuild. So he's getting into the later part of his career and he's trying to figure out what kind of team he wants to be on, I guess. So Brandon Cooks, unlikely to be on this.
How's that rebuild with the Patriots?
The poor Brandon Cooks. Oh, the poverty-stricken Brandon Cooks had to play with Drew Brees and then Tom Brady, and then he had to go to the Rams, superstar playoff run team, Super Bowl team. Like, oh my God, poor Brandon Cooks. You had to play with the multimillionaire, had to play with the Texans.
Man comes out with a totally reasonable, I just want to be on a winning team.
Nope.
I'm getting older, and
No,
here
dude,
comes Coop, like, oh, the big baby
Here's my
wants to
thing.
cry.
I think he has no need to have to justify this. I don't want to be on the Texans because I don't want to be on the Texans because I don't want to be on the Texans.
Yeah,
That's
I'm with
the end
you.
of it. You know what I mean? You don't need any further justification. You don't have to go, well, like, I really think you can say it's because I hate this team.
It's because I don't like the Texans.
Exactly. I think that's what the deal is here. You're allowed to
Grown-ass
just say
man.
that.
The only thing I feel bad for Brandon Cooks about is that the league made him stop doing his bow and arrow celebration because that was sick, dude.
Yeah, they said what? They said no weapons, right?
They said no weapons. Jail, you
They
missed
said,
it.
"That's
had this,
too cool."
He had this. Yeah, it was
Don't do that. Too cool.
Tony Gonzalez
much
used to do
fun.
it too.
I just don't. I
also
just don't get like what does the league think is going to happen? Like, what is the downside of a bow and arrow? I mean, maybe don't point your fake bow and arrow at someone, but if he's shooting it into the sky, like, do you think
Dude,
kids are?
if you can't shoot that into the sky when there's a bunch of people around in a stadium,
Right?
that's
Oh my
dangerous.
God. What are you, idiot?
It's imaginary.
Oh,
To
won't
you.
Next thing you know, somebody's gonna be like pulling out rocket launchers, like wow,
That's a slippery slope, Simon. Where does it end?
slippery.
I'll tell you where the end of the slope is. The end of the slope is Devonta Smith pulling on a ski mask and kicking down a door, then robbing the Salvation Army bucket. That is
Actually
as
robbing.
far as loud as you're allowed to go. You can't take it a step further than that. Then it's crossing
He
the line.
found the line.
That's my favorite touchdown celebration of all time.
It really, yeah, I think it is mine too. I think it really is.
Thought a lot about it. It's number one.
I also wanted to point out to you guys that I tweeted, get in here. We're chatting about sports and getting out of jury duty. And immediately the person we were talking about showed up. You guys know Faith.
Yeah, no faith.
She jumped in there and goes, but who wants to get out of jury duty?
Shout out Faith.
Shout
Loving
out Faith,
jury
dude.
duty.
She would. I could see
there's
Faith.
people
days
who
of
want
murder
jury
trial.
I could
No,
see her
that-
getting into some true crime. She could get. I know.
Don't get me
Linda-
wrong. I'm sitting there interested. I'm like, oh, I want to find out what happened. Like, this kid's young. It's a murder trial. Like, what happened here? But I'm not spending 5 days.
I did
I'm gonna
tell-
read about it.
I did tell my girlfriend that you were potentially getting chosen for a 5-day murder trial, and she said, "That's my dream." Out loud. Like, she's fallen asleep to murder shows every single night. Like, that's what blows my mind. We'll be like laying there in bed. We've each got our like AirPods in or something as we're about to fall asleep. But I just know in her AirPods next to me, it's going like, and then he disemboweled his victim and put the small intestines into his refrigerator.
Right.
She was no older than exactly as old as you are and looked a lot like you, actually. Like,
And it was on a night eerily like this. And did you remember to lock the front door?
Is this a podcast?
yes,
The,
Leanne. This is a podcast.
Oh, no.
I don't know. Me and Linda talk about true crime all the time. And the end goal is to actually have a true crime podcast. Like, that's what all this is all about. It's just trying to get to the level where we can just kind of offshoot and do that. You guys interested in joining?
I got a pitch for a true crime podcast. We take
Okay.
turns. We take turns. One of the three of us committing a crime. And then we come in and we have to true crime ourselves over the course
Wait.
of
So
well, OJ Simpson it. We'll be like, here's how I would have done it.
crime, and then you guys come in and say, "This is a pretty big mystery, but I think JL did it." And then I'm like, "You guys are right. You got
also
me."
somehow. I don't know.
Didn't think through that one,
I gotta
did you?
think through the
It would
rules
make
a
more
little bit
sense.
more.
It would make more sense if we were committing crimes, but framing other people, and then we'll do like a serial style podcast where we kind of like help
Uncover
the
the
cops
clues.
find the person that we framed.
Right.
And it
Or
Dude.
the person that we framed.
That's that could be a book idea, dude. I'm gonna.
you
Should I
said,
write
wait,
that?
you guys haven't been keeping the crime pact?
Well, Earn
This
Dog's
is all
supposed to,
set up.
Earn Dog's supposed to go first. Earn Dog, you commit that crime yet or what?
Yeah, go commit a crime.
Let us
Or
know
dog-
what
Courtyard
you've done.
Fantasy Morning Show.
Earn Dog
Commit a
just-
crime.
Earn Dog just woke up somewhere
This
like
is
they mentioned my name."
advice.
This is legal advice.
This is
Commit
legal
crimes.
They're definitely getting us soon now. Joey in the chat said 6
I love
fantasy
how-
championships can't compare to yesterday, guys. I got the Andy Coop seal of approval.
Hey.
Hey, I love how like on YouTube, like they have no problem with us saying this is legal advice, commit crimes. But like if we played like Chubbawamba Tub Thumper, our thing would be taken down immediately, right?
Every time I put up a YouTube video, they make me promise that there's no sex, there's no guns, there's no drugs, there's no violence, and there's no they even call out like if you click on like the sex column, it goes like graphic sex, non-graphic consensual sex between two adults that are fully clothed.
Even a video
Non-graphic.
thinking about sex. While
Exactly.
you're
How
recording.
dare you?
Fully
How dare you.
consensual sexual thought with clothes all the way on, but wrists uncovered. Does this appear in your video? Like it just
Demonetized.
gets so specific.
Yeah, I've noticed that like some places like don't allow you to say the word murdered, and they use the word unalived. Now,
I've never heard that
TikTok.
in my life.
is it
TikTok
TikTok?
is what-
Okay,
yeah, it's
I've seen
TikTok.
those videos. Yeah, and yes, Joey Ani Coop did text me and said that she liked the no peanut butter in the chocolate guy. So got the Ani Coop.
That could
approval.
be anyone. That could be Scott Fish.
I've also seen some people call murder muck
Cheat.
duck.
Muck duck.
Muck duck. A muck duck most foul.
Well, there was a
Dustin in
muck
here.
duck. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I just ruined your segue.
That's
Ah,
okay. I can
okay.
redo it. Let's just pretend like that never happened. You talk about Dustin.
Dustin in
Yeah.
the chat said, "Welcome back, JL. 40 years has never been called. 40 years never been called for jury duty.
That's dope.
Well, come live in Baltimore City. You get called every week.
There's a lot more
I moved to
murders down
Texas
there.
and they were like, hey, come to jury duty.
Hey.
Immediately. Like I showed up and my welcome to Texas gift was a jury duty summons.
It's
got
funny.
out of it.
It's funny how there are towns like that though, where they're like, where they're like, oh yeah, like back in the '80s when the murder happened, versus like Baltimore, where it's like, which murder?
Last Tuesday,
which
when the
murder
murder
from
happened.
which murder from yesterday are you talking about?
Baltimore
Back
not
in-
so bad. Come visit. It's an excellent.
I've been to
spot.
Baltimore. It's great, dude.
It's a nice spot.
I ain't hardly seen no murders when I was there.
Yeah, barely see any. And Trenton said, "Why can they still do the sword thing still, where they put it in the sheath? Or am I mistaken?" Talking about the touchdown
because they're
celebration.
sheathing a weapon.
That's the one that if you're thinking about the one that DJ Chark did, that's not, bro. And on this show earlier this year, I was talking about that celebration because at the time only Jerry, I think his name's Jerry Jacobs, he was doing that celebration. Now we were talking about celebrations we love, and I was like, I love the seatbelt celebration that dude on the Lions do, and now they all do it. So that wasn't a sword sheath. They do this like seatbelt thing where they're like, they strap it like that.
The seatbelt safety.
Dude, go back
Safety
and check
first.
episode 23. What are we on? Like episode 100 now?
Ain't
I was
nobody
like,
gonna check that, Coop.
I'll check it. I'm pulling it. I'm pulling it.
Pulling
I'm
the tape.
clipping this, and I'm saying that seatbelt stuff is cool. And then we'll edit in DJ Chark and whoever was with him doing the seatbelt, and then we'll post it on the shorts on our YouTube channel. That's how it works. I don't want to like go behind the scenes too much for everybody, but that's how it's going to go down. So one of you guys has to go find that clip because I'm not going to do it.
I'm not gonna do it. Jay can do it.
Jay,
Cool.
once Jay sees this in like an hour,
Yeah.
an hour when
An hour
he's
and a half when he's watching from behind.
when he's live, yeah.
Also, Joey in here saying, listen, if they knock a Chumbawamba video down, we'll just put it up again. We will never let you down, FYF fam. Front yard fam.
You got to be careful saying Chumbawamba. Those guys are quite litigious. They got our
Litigious.
They got our Twitter channel banned for 2 weeks just for using part of that song.
Really?
Our
Big
Twitter,
mistake.
the Fantasy Alarm main Twitter account was banned for 2 weeks for using that song.
Shouldn't have stolen.
Chumbawamba's walking around going, I'll knock you down. I dare you to get back up again.
I
Some
took a
other big
whiskey
news. Actually, no, Simon, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, the beautiful segue I was going to use earlier was speaking of murder. A man's career has been murdered. Cliff Kingsbury
That's who I
fired
was
from
gonna
the
bring up.
Arizona Cardinals. We've been speculating about it, saying it was
Okay.
possible. Jail, I know you've been saying you think they should keep him around. I was sitting here thinking, man, they got to fire him. Not that I necessarily think it's the right choice, but at this point, it seemed like the writing was on the wall. And Adam Schefter reporting that Cliff Kingsbury will no longer be the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, even after signing an extension through 2027 only 10 months ago.
This is
See ya,
dumb,
Cliff.
Cardinals. It's dumb. I don't think Cliff deserves to be fired. I understand why it happened, but I think it's a mistake. I think whoever gets Cliff Kingsbury is going to be lucky. I think he's a smart dude.
Yeah, I think
Do
it'd
you
be
think he ends
great.
back up in the NFL?
I think he should be if he stays in the NFL, he should be an offensive coordinator for a little bit. If he goes back to college, then he'll just be one of
The king.
he'll be the king, and he'll take over, because Mike Leach, rest in peace, was the guy that basically founded that offense. He runs the air raid. That was like his thing. And Cliff Kingsbury is one of the best that runs it now. So he could easily find a college that would love to run that offense. That offense works a lot better in college because the hash marks are wider, right? So in the NFL, they're here and the ball gets marked here or here. Doesn't leave a wide enough field, right? In college, when the ball's marked over here, you got this huge side of the field to your left. That's how a team scores 63 points in a game, right? It
It also
difficult
helps
to cover that.
the talent disparity that you can develop just through recruiting in college between your receiver talent and their secondary talent, right? The air raid offense does a lot better when you can just outspeed or outclass your opponents. That
Now-
doesn't happen so much in the NFL.
Now I'm with JL on this to a certain degree because like when you bring in a guy like that to build a new offense, you have to give him time. I am not even sure they gave him enough time necessarily to build this brand new offense. And now they also, Steve Keim, the GM, he resigned, right? So they built this air raid offense. Those two, whoever comes in next, the new GM and coach, they need to either run the air raid or build a brand new offense. So you have to give those people time. If you just fire them after 1 year, you're not even letting it build. Like imagine if the Jets bring Robert Saleh on to convert the team from a 3-4 defense to a 4-3, and you fire him after 1 year. You didn't even see him build the defense. Like you didn't even see it get completed.
The
right?
thing you hired him to do.
Exactly. So it's like, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence with this one. I agree that with JL that like to a certain degree, he didn't get a chance to finish building what he started. But you know,
It felt like and this happens with coaches, like part of this is luck and opportunity, part of this is skill. We talked about this recently in the last couple weeks with Bill Belichick and talking about his prowess as a coach. Should he not be considered the greatest of all time anymore because he hasn't won in the last 5 years or whatever. I don't even think it's 5 years. Coop, how long has it been since you won
Super Bowl?
Yeah.
I don't think they've won since 2000.
Since Falcons?
Falcons, yeah, that was 17, dude. So it has been 5 years.
Yeah, but
what a drought.
What we've seen with Cliff Kingsbury is this: he's been marred by injury. Like this team has been marred by injury. It's been a lot of things have not gone their way.
Sorry,
that's weren't necessarily in their control.
I forgot that the Patriots beat the Rams in 2019. So
that's true. I did forget about that too.
3 years. So not too bad. Sorry to interrupt. Back to you.
No, you're good. I finished my point, which was that Cliff Kingsbury. I don't think it all can be put on laid at his doorstep. I think that there's other situational stuff like the injuries and stuff that he just can't control. But overall, he seems like he's a good decision maker.
I think they kind of let the narratives get away from them this season around Cliff, and it forced their hand a little bit. They kind of let the Cliff Kyler situation blow up quite a bit. They kind of let the smack talking about the air raid system in the NFL take off quite a bit in the media. And so now they're sitting here looking at a situation where it felt like they had to fire Cliff Kingsbury. And Coop, to your point, JLU as well, the Cardinals, this is from Adam Schefter, have never had a coach, any head coach, last longer than 6 years, while the team has existed for over 100 years.
How long was Arians there?
Over 6 years. That's what Adam Schefter says.
Yeah.
Wow. Or less than 6 years, you mean?
Yeah, he was there less than 6 years. When he was coaching them, he was wild, dude. The things that he would do. He cut a guy from the team for parking in a parking spot that he wasn't allowed to park it.
He was there from 2013 to 2017.
Kind of understandable.
Yeah. Cut a dude for parking in the wrong spot. He one time he came out and said there's only one wide receiver on the team, Larry Fitzgerald. These other guys aren't wide receivers. Like he's just like he came out and said that he's like, if you get hurt, you'll get cut. Like he was just saying ridiculous stuff when he was on the Cardinals. It was a little aggressive. And I noticed that Faith in the chat. How are y'all so awake? This is what we do, baby. Thank you for joining us. I'm not sure if you saw Faith, but we were just talking about you. And we correct us if you're wrong, but we're guessing you might be a little bit of a true crime fan. Is that true, Faith? If you're still in here,
some true crime friends over there.
Looking
forward to that jury duty. Also, Victor in here saying, good morning, guys. Sick retro Denver Broncos hat, Simon. Broncos country. Let's ride. Let's ride, baby.
Ride.
Thanks, Victor. And NKC in here. What's up, NKC? Hello. Welcome in. Glad to have you. So I'm here quickly to say hi. Thanks for stopping by.
What's up,
Trent looking out for Sid. On a delay, it takes there's a slight delay sometimes. Sometimes I get confused if I have the other window open and all of a sudden, like, it won't be the sound, but it'll just be ever so slightly behind over here. And it's really cognitively like disturbing to see it just slightly behind for everything.
I'm with it on that. And Craig, obsessed with true crime. Most of my podcasts are that. I do like the true crime stuff, Craig. We should start our own fantasy football true crime club.
I want in on that.
You guys in?
Yeah.
Simon, you in? Simon, you're out. No,
I'm out.
You hesitated. You're out.
I'm out. He's not into that.
But Leanne, tell her to get in.
Okay.
Yeah. Now going back to what we were talking about. Now, the rumors immediately came out that not even rumors, really, almost pretty much confirmed that Kyler Murray is going to have some say in who the next coach is. Now, do you think he has a hand in the firing of Cliff Kingsbury? And do you think it's a good idea to let him kind of weigh in on this coach? How do you guys feel about that?
I don't think he had a hand in it. I think he was a part of the decision. Like, his relationship with Kingsbury was a part of the other people's decision to fire Kingsbury. You know what I mean? Not that Kyler Murray was part of that decision-making process, but surely they thought, and he doesn't get along with our franchise quarterback. You know what I mean? As a point in why they fired him. Now, I don't think Kyler Murray was talking to the GM and the owner and saying, you got to fire Cliff.
Well, the GM resigned almost immediately, so I doubt he wanted Cliff fired. You know? Do you think they did I
think he was probably already out on the ropes because he was had that personal health issue that was keeping him. He stepped away from the team already.
Oh, really? Yeah. So there you go. Do you think they did a bit of an Airbud situation where they had like Cliff Kingsbury on one side?
They tried out a dog.
They had Kyler Murray on one side and Cliff Kingsbury on the other side, and then
They saw where Airbud went.
They saw which side Airbud or the owner had like the owner had like the director of football operations in the middle, like trying to decide which way to go.
I was rewatching Hard Knocks, the in season with the Arizona Cardinals just this past week. Yeah. It's pretty interesting. It's funny that we watched the owner come in and he's like, "Man, I'm disappointed as you guys. I'm just as disappointed as everyone else in this room." And it just came off so bad because it's like you walked down here to this room full of these giant football players who actually go out there and do it and know anything about football. And then you come down here, you're like, "Yeah, I'm disappointed."
Right.
And everyone, oh, excuse me, though. That just really got me worked up, JL. And everyone's supposed to be like, "Oh, the owner of the team is down here. Like, how gracious of you to grace us players with your presence and taking this moment of despair with us."
Right. What a true down to earth guy there.
I don't think
Kyler Murray would have pushed Cliff Kingsbury out. The sense that I got was that any of their differences was from a place of like frustration of like wanting to do well. It didn't come off to me. And of course I have a limited perspective here from what I see, on it's not the real relationship. Only they know their real relationship, but it didn't come off as like just contentious by nature. It seemed more like game time situation. I don't know if you guys read the same thing.
That he's also 25 years old, right? And everything he's been saying, Kyler, yeah, like everything he's been saying over the last couple of years, when he
sounds like a 25-year-old,
23, 24 years old. It's like, yeah, like I can't blame. I like make fun of Kyler Murray for like I was playing Call of Duty just yesterday. Yeah. So it's like,
I was playing Pokemon and jury duty just yesterday. I really have no box.
You're sitting there playing Pokemon instead of jury duty. You're like, this guy Kyler Murray needs to grow up.
Yeah, come on, man. You got a job.
Did you see RG3's tweet about it?
No, what'd he say?
RG3 said, "Me too. I'm a big RG3 fan. I just said that to Jay yesterday. He said the Cardinals organization blew up as soon as they put that homework clause in Kyler's contract.
Ridiculous, dude. Yeah,
it did feel a little bit like just like a punch in the stomach to Kyler to like put. Like I understand wanting your quarterbacks to do that, but like unless that was standard and in there for like all of their players, to single it out like that really feels like a little bit like an FU moment and probably set the season off on that weird foot, that weird relationship.
It does feel like I can understand where they were coming from with it too. And like wanting to, this is narrative, but like imagine if Kyler is just distracted, right? He's not as engaged. Like they're struggling on the field. And so like someone over there in their camp was like, "Oh, let's throw this in or let's put this in. Like this will help solve this issue," when it wasn't the solution, right?
And it wasn't even an issue. Now that Kyler's now that Kyler's running the team, they're probably going to redo all the contracts to add like a mandatory Call of Duty clause. Everybody
has to play double XP weekend.
Imagine, dude, they win the Super Bowl 2 years from now, and they're like, "What was it?" And Kyler was like, "Well, we all started doing this team building bonding exercise where we just played Call of Duty together, and it just got us all on the same page and locked in." Like that would be the greatest. If they turned around and like the secret was Call of Duty,
and they turned into the greatest shit talking team of all time after just spending hours and hours on the COD headsets.
They start team-hacking every player on the
football field.
He gets tackles. Is that against the rules?
Probably. I have to imagine. Though the good news is the person you did it to is surely breaking a rule as well right after. Like if you teabag someone on the field, you are not the only one that's going to be breaking a rule in that encounter. That guy,
based on how
throwing a punch,
based on how it works in the NFL, only the dude that throws the second punch gets in trouble.
100%.
A teabagger never gets in trouble. It's always the second guy.
That's what, during the Packers-Lions game, I thought it was absurd. So, who was it? It was Walker who got kicked out for pushing the medical staff, right? Like 100% should have been kicked out of the game. You can't do that. You can't do that. He came out and apologized. Moments before, I forget who it was, you watch the play with DeAndre Swift. Like, this is what's preposterous. He pushes the medical staff. Not hard, but needs to get kicked out for that. The play before, a grown man with his arm like this runs full force and slams DeAndre Swift in the head as he's falling to the ground with his arm. Play on. Everything's fine. We're all good here. No whistle there. And then Walker goes over and pushes the medical staff out of the game.
That's what I'm saying. Sometimes
It's
the
just such
NFL,
a crazy sport, man.
Yeah,
It's-
it's like glorifies
Like,
violence, but then there are certain things where they are very not okay with violence.
Right.
It's like, okay.
Also, Trenton in here said teabagging downed opponents.
And Maria said that part really bothered me with the owner on the Hard Knocks. Yeah, she was watching with me as well. That was really funny. It was funny to watch. But man, that show, if you haven't watched it, go watch that show. It's like, Simon, I'm surprised you don't love it because it is reality TV, but football.
I've seen episodes. Know what I mean? I've seen episodes here and there, but I've never watched like a full season of Hard Knocks.
You would
I
like
don't know
it.
why.
The Lions one was great, man. Like Aiden Hutchinson
Lions one was
singing,
awesome.
singing and dancing, and Jamal Williams and the whole gang. And I love seeing the two coaches, the offensive defensive coordinator. Just
Yeah,
John.
because they're just like best friends.
Yeah, so
But
cool,
they just
man.
they yell at each other. My favorite part of that Lions one was when I forget I think it was the OC for the Lions. He lost his voice, and so he's sitting there running around the field like screaming, but he doesn't have a voice. It's very funny.
So good, dude.
That reminds me of the time my wrestling coach, he had in high school. No, my wrestling coach now, my current wrestling coach, no, my high school wrestling coach had just had a baby, or his wife had just had a baby, and he had to bring it to wrestling practice one day. And usually he is screaming at the top of his lungs, but now he has like a fresh infant, like a 2-month-old infant strapped to his chest while he's coaching wrestling practice. So just like he is moving and pointing with all of the aggression that he usually ran around the room with, but he's like whispering. He's like baby talking as he's running around so that he doesn't make the baby cry in the middle of practice.
That's exactly what this was. It was and Dustin Gamer said Deuce Staley. It was Deuce Staley, their assistant head coach, running backs coach.
Deuce Staley's
Try-
man.
Trenton wants Hard Knocks with Russell Wilson next year. Let's ride. You guys want some Russell Wilson Hard Knocks, or do you think that might be hard to watch?
That would be amazing, bro. I would love that. I would love that. The meme potential would be through the roof.
That would be awesome. I would definitely watch it. I'm gonna watch it either way, but I'll definitely watch it.
It would
trying to think-
ruin the whole season.
So-
Everything that anybody could say would have a Russell Wilson quote to respond with. Like that's all anyone would respond with is Russell Wilson quotes if we had Hard Knocks with him.
You would.
So the
Let's
Hard-
ride.
who would you guys want to be on Hard Knocks? If you can't pick Russell Wilson, you can't pick the Lions again. Like what team might be a fun team to have on there? Jaguars could be fun.
Jaguars could be fun. I think that would be a fun one.
Yeah, I don't know if Trevor Lawrence would be interesting enough.
Yeah, but what about ETN? Is he cool?
He's cool.
Ingram's
He's
kind
cool,
of
but
boring.
also,
I've
I
seen
don't
enough
know.
Ingram.
Like Jacksonville doesn't have a wild card. They need a wild card. You know?
I actually think the Falcons, they do have a wild card. Calvin Ridley's coming to that team.
yeah,
know what I mean?
that's a more sad wild card though.
Yeah, I think the Falcons could actually be fun with a young quarterback. They've got some young, exciting pieces.
Yeah.
Drake London, Kyle Pitts,
What's
likely a
that-
new head
the owner's
coach.
name? Shad Khan.
Hopefully
No,
they
that's Jaguars.
still have Cordell Patterson.
Yeah.
'Cause he seems like an interesting guy.
Arthur something, right?
Arthur Blanks is the owner,
Arthur
and then
Blank,
Arthur
that's
Smith
Evil
is the coach.
Arthur Blank, evil Walt Disney.
Evil
The
Walt Disney.
Home Depot Walt
or as
Disney.
you said, just regular Walt Disney is also.
Greg said Clemson should be on Hard Knocks. That'd be pretty cool.
It'd be interesting.
Arthur.
Dabo, he's a wild card. Packers could be interesting.
Patriots would be the worst.
They just did the Colts, so they're not going to do the
I'm
Colts.
just walking around. Patriots is walking around being like, I'm not allowed to say anything. Coach said.
On to Cincinnati.
Bill told me
It's
not.
preseason.
Bill told me not to talk to you.
And
The
then it's
Jets.
just Steve.
What about the yeah? Somebody has
They
to
ask him
smack him.
questions, and he
Yes.
just goes,
He has,
Smack him and he bites his tongue.
he has a handler next to him, just like putting his tongue back in his mouth,
Trying to push back.
trying to like
Stop.
getting like a smudge off his face.
Steve's like,
Did you
And
watch?
he
he
goes
just
back to his switch.
takes off, full Naruto runs down the hallway. I know that's how Steve
Steve.
Belichick runs.
Steve,
Steve, get back here.
Steve, stop running.
We weren't done brushing your teeth.
Hey, did you wash your hair yet this month? We weren't done brushing your teeth.
That's the
He's
noise
just
you
sitting
make.
there holding a Lightning McQueen toothbrush, bubblegum toothpaste. Steve,
We're not done yet. And all of a sudden, you just hear the toothbrush. It goes, ka-chow.
ka-chow. And it was Owen Wilson's voice.
Guys, coming up, we are going to talk all about Lightning McQueen toothbrushes. We've got some Dynasty do's and donuts for you. We're going to play some Fantasy Detective. And then we have a ways to spend your new free time bracket now that the fantasy football season is wrapped up. And then we're going to make some playoff predictions as well. Right now, you're watching the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Green Screens Media back at it again with your BSN timeout. And today we're handing out our mid-season awards in college basketball. With me, as always, the captain of our ship at Green Screens Media, Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, let's start with the mid-season Wooden Award for the most outstanding player in the game.
Yeah, I got to talk about the big man from the Purdue Boilermakers, Zach Edey, the current #1 team in the country. This guy's just an absolute animal. His ability to stay on the floor this year for over 30 minutes a game has raised the ceiling of this team to national championship aspirations. He's averaging over 21 points, 13 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game. He's an absolute load in the paint and one of the most dominant forces in college basketball.
Yeah, Edie doing just about everything for these Boilermakers. I want to go over to Coach of the Year. Going to go chalk here, technically rock chalk. Bill Self for the Kansas Jayhawks. He has this team all the way up to #3 in the country on a 13-1 record, including 2-0 in a very tough Big 12 conference. Probably what's most impressive about this run this year is in the context of the players that he lost in the offseason. There's no more McCormick. There's no more Abaji, Martin, Braun. But yet again, Bill Self has reloaded, and he's getting everyone's best shot. I think he's got these Jayhawks primed for a title defense.
Yeah, I love this new look Kansas team. I think they can make some real noise come March. I want to talk about Defensive Player of the Year, Cliff Amoria from the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. This team's 3rd in defensive efficiency, and he's a big reason why. Averaging nearly 10 rebounds and 2 blocks per game. These stats, while they're impressive, they don't do this young man justice. He's disrupting the game on every defensive possession and one of the most fun players on that side of the ball.
Man, Rutgers is a nightmare on the defensive side. Going to go over to most improved player. For me, it's Chris Murray of Iowa. We all saw his brother Keegan explode onto the scene last year. Played well enough to get himself drafted to the NBA, but that left a void for these Iowa Hawkeyes, and one that Chris Murray has stepped up to fill in nicely. This is a player that was averaging less than 10.5 last season. Those numbers have more than doubled this year. 20.4 points, 9.8 rebounds per game. Chris Murray looks like a legit star on the rise.
Yeah, I love what Chris Murray has done now that he's out of the shadow of his brother. But I want to talk about a potential Cinderella story come March. Maybe an upset, the glass slipper here, the Florida Atlantic Owls. 13-1, 3-0 in Conference USA so far. Head coach Dusty May's done a fantastic job. This team's headlined by guards John L. Davis and Elijah Martin. They've rattled off 12 straight wins, including victories over Florida and UAB. Don't sleep on these Owls come March. They may make some noise.
I think this glass slipper will fit for FAU, and that will do it for your BSN timeout. Make sure you stay locked here on the Better Sports Network and check out Green Screens Media on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube so you don't miss a minute of our college basketball coverage.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. JL pinched it off just in time to get back on here. Everything come out all right?
That's disgusting.
I got you. JL's like, there was no pinch.
There was no pinch.
Just flowed. Everything is smooth here. And guys, before we get too much further in here, any other pinch it off stories? What other context could that phrase be used in?
Almost none.
Making sausage as well. You pinch off
You guys
the
know
end.
that? What's that
Which
bubble
is
gum
another-
that gets wrapped up into a circle and then put in a little pink container?
Bubble tape.
Bubble tape.
Hubba Bubba Bubble Tape.
Pinch that bad boy off.
Oh my god, I forgot about Hubba Bubba Bubble Tape.
I thought for some reason my brain immediately went the other way, Simon, where I thought you said that JL was making sausage during the break. which is way
Ew.
which is way worse, bro.
Jail went. He just can't
Y'all
stop
nasty.
making sausage. He's got a sausage making machine in
That's
the
the
kitchen.
worst.
It's
Break
an
it. He's like,
involuntary sausage making
I got 3
machine.
minutes. I know I can crank out 4
It
sausages.
just starts random times, starts cranking sausage all over the floor.
Dude, you
I
can't
gotta catch it.
you can't say cranking sausage, bro. Now we're gonna get demonetized for sure.
It's 8 a.m. and Jail's already been cranking sausage.
Already cranking his sausage. Already cranking his sausage. What the hell? This show about?
So,
Okay.
Dynasty do's and don'ts. Am I right?
Do's and do nuts.
We're going to get into that, guys. I did want to remind everyone it is Tuesday, which means it is Tour Junkies Day here on Better Sports Network. Join David Barnett and Pat Perry for informative and entertaining golf talk, including interviews with PGA Tour and LIV golf players and caddies. You're going to have more fun with golf and DFS and betting with Tour Junkies. So tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern on BSN and on bettersports.com, you can hang out with the Tour Junkies. New show here, Tuesdays. If you're into golf or if you're not into golf, looking to get into it, head on over and check those guys out. You guys ready to get into some Dynasty do's and donuts?
Before we do,
Yeah.
Trenton got me in the chat. He made me laugh earlier before the break. Is Antonio Brown still barricaded in his house?
Dude, somebody should be
Which
checking.
is kind
on
of
him.
funny because we heard the story that he was barricaded in his house, but we never heard a resolution.
Everyone
What
just
happened?
said, yeah, sounds about right. And then just went about their business. Like other stories, Googling like every 5 minutes for the follow-up. Like, did he
Yeah,
get
I'm
but
like-
with
news. Yeah.
with that one, it was just like again. Like
Yeah, it's like, oh no, I wonder how this is.
no,
how
my
this will end.
initial reaction when I heard that was like, at least it's his house. Like at least he's like he's not bothering someone
At
else.
least it's not my house.
Like he could really be bothering someone. Just you come home and Antonio Brown's in your kitchen.
He's like, I'm not
refusing to
leaving.
leave. I'm not leaving. They're looking for me. I'm not going.
He's eating jail sausages.
Also, Dustin in here coming in saying teams currently available for Hard Knocks are Pats, Jets, Titans, Commanders, Packers, Bears, Saints, Broncos, and Seahawks.
Okay, everyone's got to pick one out of this group.
Pats will never happen, so you can cross that off. That's
They have to, aren't they? Like legally obligated?
good luck.
Is it the same as like Bill Belichick, where like he's the only coach in Madden that's not on there?
I
He's
have
gonna-
my answer.
gonna make it miserable for them?
I want the Jets, and I want Zach Wilson to still be on that team.
The
Is
Jets
what I
is
want.
such a good answer. Of
I
course, the
want-
Jets.
I want the Jets, and I wish it was with their current quarterback room. I know there's going to be changes. Joe Flacco might not be back. Maybe they trade Zach Wilson, but if we could get the Jets with Mike, MF, and White, elite Joe Flacco, and big baby MILF hunter Zach Wilson, it would be unbelievable. The team
What a
we could get.
nickname, Big Baby Milf Hunter.
You know who would be a great dude on that show, as long as assuming he's still with the team, is CJ Uzoma. That guy,
Every
he's
time he talks is incredible.
incredible, dude. He's the man. So yeah,
Why? What makes it incredible?
Just watch any of his post-game interviews if they talk to him or press conferences or anything like that. The dude is just he's fun to listen to. He's great. He's funny. He's
Guys just keep pointing out that it's great, but you won't tell me
He's
how,
funny.
and it makes me nervous.
Funny.
He's like a hilarious. He's like a stand-up.
he's a funny guy to listen
he's
to.
so funny, bro. And he's always doing ridiculous stuff. Like he got fined because after a Thursday night game, he just went over and like chugged beer with one of the fans. Like he like handed him a beer and he was like chugging beer, dude. Like he is the man, dude. He's had so many good quotes about like Joe Burrow and stuff. Like he's
No,
I'm gonna
and
tell you guys.
There's
right
no
now,
like funny euphemism here. It's not like trying to say something else. He's just funny. He's a
Right.
Just a
funny,
funny
dude
guy.
and entertaining. He would be funny to watch on
I
Hard
got
Knocks
you.
for sure.
That makes sense.
yeah, he's just one of those guys. Like, you know, he's not no one's Jamal Williams, but I think he would be the Jamal Williams of this Hard Knock.
I got you.
He would be fine. The cameras wouldn't need to find him. Let's put it that way. He would be fine in those.
He'd
cameras.
find the cameras.
He'd find those.
Out of this group, I feel very, for some reason, the name that's standing out is the Seahawks. It feels like they're ripe for a Hard Knocks episode. They just had Geno Smith. They made this big move. Pete Carroll's getting up there.
DK
Nice to
Metcalf,
see Nick.
Someone should let him down.
DK Metcalf. I know. Someone should let him down.
Tyler Lockett being mad weird.
Is
Open mic poetry night.
he mad weird?
I don't know.
I wouldn't say mad weird, but there's been some kind of interesting stuff with Tyler Lockett. I mean, one thing
I like Tyler Lockett.
One thing Tyler Lockett is, he is a virgin. He is celibate until he gets married. Another thing is he's also a part-time realtor. He wanted to sell Russell Wilson's house when he moved. Like he's just, you know what I mean?
That's
like
just free money.
The hustle, man.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
he's just
I respect that.
Tyler Lockett. He's just kind of doing his own thing, dude. Now,
I love Tyler Lockett.
Weird is probably the wrong word. Interesting is the right word for Tyler Lockett, I'd say.
I fell in love with him as soon as I saw him do open mic poetry night like years and years ago. Got posted on Twitter. I've loved him ever since.
The idea that he is an NFL wide receiver and has a side hustle while he's in the NFL, he's like, yeah, I sell houses on the side. Like I'm also imagining him like reselling Pokemon cards and all that. That reminded me. Remember when we said we were gonna buy Pokemon cards and then open them up on stream?
Yeah, I looked on Target. They didn't have them.
Oh well, I bought a box of Pokemon cards yesterday.
Oh,
open some now. They're in my car. During the next break, I'm gonna run and go grab it. But I bought a box set that was on sale at this like card store that was next to the Home Depot where I had to pick up a rental ladder.
They were unopened?
Yeah. It's a box that has like 4 packs and then some promo cards in there.
Nice.
Is there hollow in each pack?
There's not in each. I mean, there's some like hollows guaranteed. There's a rare in each card of Pokemon cards, but not all of them have a holographic in there. But there's always a rare.
All right, this will be tight, dude. Now
we're gonna get it.
Now, how do we go back to talking about anything else? I'm too fired up about these Pokemon cards.
Well, guys, I know, but don't worry, it's coming. We got our Dynasty do's and do nots, our Dynasty do's and donuts that we're coming up on too.
Chat's fired up about Pokemon.
hey, they're like, let's go.
Dude. Everyone's like, do's and donuts. We'll do some.
So this segment, guys, what we're going to be doing here is we're going to break down the strategic Dynasty landscape. We're going to go through some things that you should do and should not do as you're prepping for the Dynasty season right now. It is the off season for fantasy football, which means it's prime time for making Dynasty moves, setting yourself up for next year. John Luke, you want to kick us off with a do or a donut?
Yeah, I do. I will. First donut here, or do. Oh, which one is it? It's a donut. Don't trade away your picks now. Hold on to your draft picks until the rookie draft. They're just going to increase in value. And so leading up to the draft, that's one thing you can really guarantee is that your picks are going to increase in trade value. So hold on to them now. It really does not make sense to trade them away right now.
100%, dude. The rookie fever is absolutely real. It's absolutely real. And usually wait until at least the combine, right? I think that's typically how it goes. Because once we get the combine, then we get realistic rankings. And that's when everyone really gets into it. It's kind of the cold season now where maybe like 3 out of 12 people in your league are really caring about prospects. But once it gets to the combine and right before the draft, the NFL draft and stuff, that's where people get fired up.
I would go as far as say this is how I like to play. The strategy I like to employ is I won't trade until I'm in the draft or at least right up on it, because I think that even with the hype of combine, hype of the draft in general, you get there's a whole nother notch of excitement when you are about to start your rookie draft. Right. And so I like to hold my picks until then. This, of course, is with all advice. You need to caveat here that there's situations where it might make sense straight away your picks if you get like a really good deal. I'm just talking about in general on the face of it. Yeah, like try not to trade away.
But what you're talking about like is like sometimes when you do trades that involve picks, the pick is just to get the trade done, right? So during the season and at this stage of the season, it's like, okay, we're going to do this trade, but it's not fair, so I'm going to throw in a second, right? But what JL's talking about is there is a very specific scenario that starts happening when people once people have their rankings going. So sometimes they don't have rankings yet now, or even after the combine, but
sometimes not even after the draft necessarily.
Right. But where you get the real value is when somebody says, I really want to get this guy. And I know JL is the 8th pick and I think he's going to be there at 8. So I'm going to give up way too much to try and get my guy. That's the situation that really drives the value of the picks at that point. So you're right.
They could put a name to it.
Exactly.
Once you know the other guy has somebody they want, you've got them. So yeah, you're right, JL. You might have to wait until after the draft for some leagues, but The combine at least is when it starts, right? That's when you start getting.
And you got to know your league, right? Like, so
league.
if your league is the type that's like, as soon as the Super Bowl is over, they're ready to do their rookie draft, then you got to know that.
Yeah,
but when that pick becomes Travis Etienne instead of the 105, you know what I mean? Like whenever you're sitting there looking at it, then it becomes worth more. And JL, in defense of this, every year for the past 3 years, I've made at least one draft day rookie trade that I regret going forward, where the other person really got one over on me. And not because they did anything wrong, but because in the heat of the draft, in the excitement, in the moment, you want to trade. You know what I mean? You get excited about a guy. You get excited about the process. You haven't drafted like in a meaningful draft in like 12 months at this point. So you get in there and you want to make some moves, and maybe you make some less than ideal moves to just be the guy who did something.
Yeah, and even from like I try not to look at it as the outcome, like it's a bad move or a good move because of the outcome, but more so like just looking at the value, how the actual asset value is changing over time, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
trying to get the
draft
most
picks are going to go up in value leading up to draft day. That's
So
when I value them most.
Exactly, me too. And so try and get as much of that, squeeze as much juice as you can out of that lemon.
100%.
So I have two pieces of advice. I'm going to do one now. Do we have time for each of us to do two, or are we just doing one?
Probably.
Yeah, we can probably hit two.
Okay. So one of mine is know where you are in the cycle. Dynasty fantasy football a lot of times is cyclical. And that starts from the startup draft. Some teams are going to be going young. Some teams are going to be going old. Some teams are going to be trying to do like a mix in the middle, right? But know where you are. Know if you need to go all in now. Like if you're sitting there with guys like Derrick Henry, right? Or Austin Eckler that are getting up there in age and could hit that cliff. And it's so hard to see the cliff coming until it happens. And then once it happens, you look back and you're like, it's hard to imagine how good they were before. Think about guys like Melvin Gordon and Zeke Elliott. When they were very, very good, it was hard to imagine that cliff coming. And then once they turned 28, 29, they're
Todd Gurley.
Right. Todd Gurley, with the knee thing. But it's right. When he was so
cliff.
DeMarco Murray too, when those guys were so good, it was so hard to imagine. But like that is going to happen. Unfortunately, it's going to happen at some point to Derrick Henry and Austin Eckler. So you got to know where you are in the cycle. If you have Derrick Henry, you got to know you have to make a decision. Are you going to play to win? In which case, you should be the one that's trading for similar type guys and trying to win right now.
Go get Keenan Allen.
Get a Keenan Allen. Get guys like that are up there. DeAndre Hopkins. Go for the guys and try and win now. Devontae Adams. Try and win right this moment. Or are you going to reset the cycle, trade away Derrick Henry, and start moving assets forward? Right. So for me, how you plan to attack this draft, how you plan to attack this offseason depends where you are in the cycle. And a big part of that is looking around at the rest of your league. See where other teams are in the cycle. Can you beat, Pete from accounting? Can you beat Leanne from your true crime chat? Like, do you have a good enough team to beat these guys right now? So you got to look around and see what you got going on and make that decision, because it certainly does matter. And the worst thing you could do is not recognize that and be a team that Derrick Henry's your only good player, but you don't trade him. So you play through the whole season and you come in 7th, and then he falls off the cliff, and then you end up in no man's land. So
yeah, the way I kind of like to visualize this, Coop, is almost like gears in your car, right? If you're shifting, right? If you're in rebuild, you throw on that bad boy in reverse, right? You can't be in a rebuild and be trying to win and go full force, right? Just know which strategy you want to take and which gear you want to be in towards what the strategy is, and go with that. But don't play that middle game. Don't play that. Was it Dave Gettleman with Saquon, where it's like half in, half out? No, it wasn't Gettleman. It was Sherman or something.
Yeah,
I forget his name.
Shermer.
Is that who it was?
Pat Shermer. Is that who you're thinking?
Shermer. Thank you.
Pat
Yeah, Shermer, who drafted Saquon Barkley, and it was like you're rebuilding, but then you have 1 foot out, right, with going a running back here at your first pick. So don't do that.
Yeah,
it's good. Good advice.
I'm with you, Coop. You got to be aware of your position in the league, and you got to make moves accordingly. If not, you're gonna be stuck. And it's similar to something I was gonna bring up, but I'm just gonna build off what you're doing. I got a different donut here after this, but Coop, you brought
Also
up a
said he
point where
wants donuts now.
I had donuts yesterday and the day before. I bought a dozen
Ooh,
donuts on
donut boy.
Saturday. Because donuts are my weakness.
What's your
They're
favorite
in the
kind
house?
of-
I'll eat them.
Dude, you just said the same thing about soda. So the
Yeah.
other day. Soda.
Yeah,
and donuts?
I don't have willpower, so I don't keep things that I want a lot in my house.
How are you
if they're
not?
bad
How are
for
you
me.
not 500 pounds, dude? You
Because I don't keep donuts
keep
and
them
soda
outside.
in my house. Yeah, I have to go get them if I want them.
But once they get in there, then
I ate 9 donuts in less than 24 hours because they were just in my house, and I would have eaten 12 if my girlfriend didn't eat 3 of them.
you have to barricade yourself in the house like AB.
My girlfriend always makes fun of me because one time she called me and I told her, like, yeah, like I decided I'm gonna start eating healthy. She's like, oh, really? I was like, yeah, I cut out donuts entirely. And she was like, and I was like, what do you mean? And I'm eating healthier. I'm not eating donuts. But apparently that's not an appropriate way to start eating healthier. But I forget what I was saying. Something about what Coop had.
Well,
It was building off of what Coop
while
had.
we're talking donuts, one time I worked at Dunkin'
Take
Donuts.
us deeper.
One time I worked at Dunkin' Donuts for 2 years, and
One time I worked at Dunkin' Donuts
And
for
dude,
2 years.
if you take a freshly made donut and then you squeeze it like this, a legit, not drops, but a stream of grease comes out. And then once it's done dripping, you go like this, and there's nothing in your hand. It's literally like this big. Donuts are just poison, but I love them. What's your favorite donut, Simon?
The classic pink with sprinkles. Pink icing with sprinkles.
That's
strawberry icing, sprinkles on top.
The Simpsons donut.
The Simpsons donut. That's the best donut.
I think we talked
Simpsons
about
donut.
this before. We already talked about this like a week ago.
Yeah.
I like other
This is
donuts.
also my favorite donut.
But that is definitely the best one, without a doubt. And Trenton says, sounds like me if I buy a big bag of chips, I'll eat the whole thing and feel sick. So I
He
try
just
not to buy
squeezes
it.
them until the grease runs out.
he's like, wow, look at the grease. Crunch, 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 crunch.
Oh God. I think I just got a pimple just now, just thinking about the
All that
greasy donuts and greasy chips.
Something Coop said something about knowing where your team's at. Oh, and I was going to say, Coop, if you're not aware of where your team's at, you can get stuck in a constant rebuild where you're just always rebuilding, where you're just focused on like, oh, I got to get these guys for next year, for next year, for next year. But if it's always for next year and the team never quite comes together, you're going to be stuck there sitting as the middling team, the 6th to 8th place team year in and year out.
Yeah. Just got to commit to the strategy. Commit to the strategy. It will turn around. I've done it multiple times. It works.
You don't want to be
Blow it
that.
up,
You don't want to be that
burn it
kid
to the ground.
that won the offseason every year by getting picks and stuff like that. That kid, the kid that's like that it's always bragging about all the future assets they have. That kid never actually wins.
The kid that has 10 first-round picks next year.
The kid that wins.
I don't know. That's a lot.
That's a lot of first
They
round
might win.
picks.
They might win.
Maybe in 2025, we don't even know. Dude, Elon Musk could have already blown up the world by then. You don't even know. You got to get your name on the trophy now.
He's like, the next evolution of Twitter is there was no one to be on it. I know how to fix Twitter. Eliminate the tweeters.
Why worry about winning now? Elon Musk might blow up the world tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a great point. Dynasty do's and don'ts. Don't do
Why worry
anything
about
because
fantasy
Elon
football?
Musk might blow up the world.
Yeah.
Go outside.
Not do anything
touch some grass.
because Elon Musk might blow up the world. And that's the end of that segment and the end of our show and the end of everything that we care about. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thanks for
Front
joining.
Elon
yard
Musk
absurdism.
out.
us.
Say front yard absurdism.
Yeah.
FYA. I'll jump into my first one, guys. And my first one here is do draft best player available during your rookie drafts. Don't get too cute with positional needs whenever you're in there. I've seen so many people make mistakes like, oh, shoot, I need a tight end. And they use like that top 3 pick on Hayden Hurst or the top tight end or Adam Troutman, the guy that's coming out in that class. And all of a sudden your team sucks when you would have been better off. Sure. There's ways to draft the best player available and have it mess up. You can draft N'Keal Harry and not have it work out. But there's already a lot of uncertainty with whether rookies are going to pan out or not. You do not need to add that extra barrier to your team that they need to fit the player that you need specifically right now in Dynasty. Dynasty is a long-term game. take the assets with the most value, because even if you don't believe in them, they've got that value immediately after the draft that you can use to turn them. It's going to be better in the long run for your team if you're always taking best player available in rookie drafts, especially in those early rounds.
Hayden Hurst wasn't even the best tight end drafted by his own team that year.
Shout out Marky Mark.
Honestly, until you brought up the tight end point, Simon, I was like, yeah, of course, draft best player available. It's like, how often does that really come into play? And then I started thinking about it.
Happens with quarterback
how
too.
Many
I've done it.
have I seen
and with running back?
I've done it.
Make this mistake.
I've made the mistake 100%, dude. Like that's why I have Keyshawn Vaughn on a team.
That's the player I was going to bring up. He like it happens with like these pass catching backs too. I feel like where every year one or two of them gets hyped up and brought up, and you just want that running back. You missed out on the Kenneth Walker class, the Jonathan Taylor tier of players. So you're like, oh, I know.
Sermon.
Dude, you want to hear
Sermon?
You guys want to
Keyshawn Vaughn?
You guys want to hear what makes that even more painful? The Keyshawn Vaughn pick for that team.
Who'd you pass on?
No, it's not. It's not even who I passed on, because all the guys I passed on were amazing. But I drafted Keyshawn Vaughn because I was all set at wide receiver, because I had players like Kenny Golladay and Calvin Ridley. So I didn't need any more wide receivers.
See, and then that's the other part of this, Coop, is things change so quickly in the NFL. Even if you think you're set at wide receiver, if the best player sitting there is a wide receiver, draft him, because things change quickly. And all of a sudden, that guy who's just on your bench is your number one receiver on your team.
Your super team may not be so super next year.
Yeah, that life comes at you fast.
It comes at you very fast.
Super lame.
All of a sudden, you're looking there and you're like, my Alvin Kamara, Antonio Gibson starting running back duo that I thought was going to kill it isn't really looking so hot anymore.
Yeah, and even from one season to another. And, Simon, I thought about how many times I've seen teams do this with tight end. It just is like, I feel like I've seen it every single rookie draft I've been in where a tight end gets reached on.
Dude,
nope, that doesn't sound right.
Where someone reaches around.
Someone reaches around the tight end.
Cranking sausages.
Someone cranks
you're cranking sausages, and someone's like, "You're up. It's your pick," and then you reach around to tight end. And but anyway, so speaking of tight ends, not to skip you, Jail, but since we're talking tight ends, my second one involves tight ends. You mind if I throw it out there while we're on them?
Yeah, there's no order.
So the biggest piece of advice, like if I had to take a sticky note and tell you how to handle tight end in fantasy, I would take it.
Whoa.
Like a bowl full of water.
I give you 4 words on how you should handle the tight end position in your dynasty leagues. Are you ready for this? Roster
synergy.
Well, you two might as well finish now. 4 words: khakis, synergy,
Simon,
tomato, jail,
pituitary.
There you go. Khaki, synergy, tomato, pituitary. And that is how you
nailed it.
So the 4 words are roster,
khakis,
talent, start, opportunity. The way that essentially works is you want to build a roster. We're just thinking about khakis.
I'm just looking at Simon stare at you. Like you built it up. You built it up.
Simon's waiting to say khakis again, dude. He's waiting to say khakis for a 5th time. That's what Simon was doing. He was trying not to say khakis. You guys are so stupid, dude.
That's exactly what was going on. I was saying, don't say khakis.
What were the 4 words? What were the 4 words I even said?
Roster,
opportunity,
sausage.
If you rearrange them, it's spelled store, STOR. I know that because I thought, why wouldn't you put them in an order that spelled a little word to make it easier to remember?
Okay,
roster,
so you had
talent,
start, opportunity, talent, roster.
Yeah,
you guys are just about the worst.
Hey,
so yes. So the way it works: roster, talent, start, opportunity. And the problem with tight end is that not every tight end has the upside to be a high-end guy, right? And in your 10 to 12 team leagues where you only start 1 tight end, if your tight end's not top 5 or 6 in the league, you have a below average tight end. And you can't afford that if you're competing to win in Dynasty, right? So what you need to do is you want to have as many talented guys on the roster, but if you're competing now, you need a guy that has the opportunity. because a lot of times opportunity ends up being more important than talent at tight end. As crazy as that sounds, Logan Thomas, for what all these years, has not been better in a vacuum at tight end than Dallas Goedert. But Dallas Goedert didn't have the opportunity. Logan Thomas in 2020 did have the opportunity. So you want to have those guys, right? You want to have those guys if you're competing. If you're building, you want to roster as many talented guys and wait for that opportunity to open up, right? Like you want to hold on to Dallas Goedert. So that's the general game plan. If you have too many guys that we sit here and think about how good they're going to be, but they don't have the opportunity, you're not going to win. So many guys sat there for years and years with Jonnu Smith and Dallas Goedert. They didn't win anything, right? On the flip side, if you have guys like a bunch of guys like George Kittle and Evan Ingram and
George Kittle,
Travis Kelce, and Dallas Goedert,
Evan Ingram.
Yeah, you can't start all those guys at the same time. So maybe you want to trade some of those guys. Khakis, right? So that's how you handle the tight end position. Roster talent, but start opportunity. If you're competing now, you have to go out of your way to find the guy that could be a top 2 target on his team so you can start him right now. That's how you get, and then of course you get the khakis, the tomatoes, the
Pituitaries,
and the I forget what the last one was.
Yeah, of course
it's
you
not
do.
important.
Never paying attention to us. But Trenton had a tight end question for us, following up on that, Coop.
Yeah.
But wants to know, should he drop Otten to pick up Albert O, or is Dulcich for real? So Albert O, do you see talent there? Maybe just not opportunity. What are you doing with Albert O in Dynasty? And would you drop Cade Otten for him?
No, I'm hanging on to Cade Otten. So with tight ends, with rookie tight ends, we learn a lot about them the first year, whether they're going to be blocking, whether they're going to go down the 2 paths of the tree, skewing blocking or skewing passing, right? Guys like Drew Sample and Hunter Long, those guys immediately, Trey McKitty is another one. Those guys are clearly kind of blocking tight ends. You want to move on from those guys. Cade Otten, the fact that he immediately took on a pass catching role on a team that has Cameron Braid, who only catches passes, he doesn't block. That's a good sign. Cade Otten is a guy we like. Alberto kind of went on the back burner. I don't know. It's going to take a lot to resuscitate him at this point. So I would rather.
He's still worth stashing, I think. But I agree with you, Coop. It's like it's been a bucket of cold water on the Alberto train.
Right. But now this new guy, Jerry Rosberg, the timeout king, that's the interim coach. He was like, why weren't they using Alberto? So, I don't think Alberto is dead. I just think that Cade Otten, for a rookie to come out and play 90% of the snaps like he did down the stretch, you got to be feeling good about that. So,
what do you have to do to get the love of the timeout god? Like what did Alberto do where the timeout god saw him was like, he needs more playing time? Like,
just Alberto is like an absolute freakazoid athlete. He
loves times. Big pocket watch guy. He opens up his jacket.
That's what I was imagining. It's like
watches.
He pulls out a pocket watch at practice and he's like, you've just earned some snaps.
What's his name? Jeremy Rosberg.
Jerry Rosberg? Jury Duty? Rosberg?
Jerry Duty.
I think his name is, dude.
Also, your average Joe coming in here and said, fellas, I just want to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The Dynasty champ does what he wants, baby.
I love that, dude.
Congratulations, Joe. Well deserved, your average Joe. And took down
a Dynasty championship is something to marvel at. You guys know who I beat in the Dynasty championship?
Who?
Big butt loser.
Mike Fiella.
Oh,
what a loser. Just totally wiped the floor with him.
He's my worst good friend.
He likes sandwiches quite a bit, that guy over there.
Yeah. Alberto walked in to Jerry's office and he shook his hand and he was like, nice to meet you. I'm Albert.
Did you just spend time putting all your watches on?
I didn't put all of them on. I didn't have time to put the other one over here on. So I only got through 3. But yeah, I do have a lot of watches over here.
Coop, Kevin did want to know in the chat how his Dynasty team of dusty running backs did against the 0 RB champion. How did your dusty running back strategy work out this year?
Which league is that, Kev? I'm in a lot of leagues with a lot of cool people, so I'm not sure I really remember that one.
Brutal, rude, Coop.
I gotta pull it up. My team of dust. Did you win that league, Kev?
I'm guessing he did, if that's the way he's talking right there. And Kevin coming here saying besties. Guys, coming up, we are going to play some Fantasy Detective. Then we've got our Ways to Spend, your new free time bracket, and we're going to run through some playoff predictions as well. Before we do that, though, if you guys are itching for more fantasy, we have an NFL playoff challenge coming your way. You can continue and you can play against us and the other hosts and the rest of the people from this community just by clicking the link in our app to join the NFL playoff challenge sponsored by Lucra. Top prize is going to win $500 cash plus an autographed full-size NFL helmet of the winner's choice that I assume you'll never take off again. You're just going to wear it for the rest of your life wearing that helmet. So hit that link, join us, and compete against us and the rest of the BSN hosting community for the NFL playoff challenge. And guys, if you're enjoying what we're doing here, you want some more of us, we've got another show later today, the Fantasy Football Game Show on our YouTube channel. So head on over to Front Yard Fantasy and hit that subscribe button to make sure you don't miss out on the Fantasy Football Game Show and all the other fun stuff we're doing over there. Right now, you guys are listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Better Sports Network.
Can't miss Mitch is hanging out with Rick Kamla here. He's with Roster Watch. I want to let you know something here, my friend. I'm a listener. I'm a seeker of knowledge, okay? And I know it sounds cheesy if I said I'm a seeker of wisdom, but I am. And Mitch, I've learned a lot from our interviews here on Better Sports Network. Because what you just said is something that I've had to work through in my dome. This has been my first time with a full-time gig in the betting space, right? I've dabbled in and I've bet a million times, but as a, on a huge platform here with the betting analysis. And so I'm learning, I'm evolving, I'm accumulating information and wisdom. And through what you've been telling me, trust the data, right? It's been like working on me. And a lot of times I talk my way out of a winner, Mitch. And it's about just trusting, like, okay, so if I got a vibe on a player in a big-time basketball game and it's a superstar showdown and all this kind of stuff, and I have a predetermined vibe and I go in and I look, and every single indicator that I look at is under. Why am I going to go over? Just follow the numbers and listen to the data. And guess what, can't miss, Mitch? I have been doing that, and I've been missing on a lot of NBA props because of blowouts, load management, and all that stuff. Is that a complaint? But I've hit a couple of unders recently that didn't feel good, can't miss, Mitch, right? They didn't feel good at all.
Unders never feel good.
They don't feel good, but I said all of the trends say under, so I'm going under, and I hit on them both. And I literally thought of you when I hit on those, man. But this is really sound advice for everybody out there, isn't it?
It really is, and sometimes it's hard. If you want to gamble. That's when you can do dumb It really is. Have fun at the roulette table. That's gambling. If you want to actually try and have sustainability, sports betting, you've got to have a system that's backed by data. And you've got to find the data that correlates to scoring points and what the opposing points are going to score against them as well. It's not hard. All the data's out there. You've got to just play with the numbers, and you got to continue to stick with that system, back test it, play with it, and then you're a sports bettor. You're not gambling.
Talk sports with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Better Sports Network.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We're about to get into a game of Fantasy Detective. Before we do that, though, Coop, I did want to say over the break, I realized that it wasn't just 4 words. It was 4 words in order that you were saying, that it wasn't just those 4 words randomly mixed together. That was roster and talent had to be in the right order, and start and opportunity had to be together in that order as well. It wasn't just roster, start, opportunity, talent.
So the thing, I was thinking about that as well. And actually, if you were to, I mean, it goes best in the other order, but if you were to change it around and say start, opportunity, but in roster, talent, then it could be the word sort. And that's how you
sort your tight ends. Ooh, sort your tight ends. It works out, baby.
Do I smell an article coming?
I think so. I think I sniff an article. Oh, it doesn't smell very good. But I bet it's like durian, where maybe it just smells strongly, but then the taste is delicious.
Delectable.
You guys ever smelled a durian?
Yeah, I've never smelled it, but I've heard it's gross.
Yo, it smells so strong. Like they are not underselling it whenever they say that thing smells strong.
But it
It's
tastes good?
banned. Oh, it tastes delicious. It's very good.
Who was the first person to be like, I'm gonna
put that stinky thing in my mouth? Someone gave me a really good answer to a question like that one time, and it just like it ruined all those questions for me. Like, who ate broccoli? Who tried milk for the first time? Like, there's an easy answer. They watched an animal do it, and then they did it. Know what I mean? They saw an animal eat that fruit, and so then that's exactly how all that stuff happened. And so it's just boring as hell. All of the answers.
How they figure out how to make bread?
Yeah, I'm not
I ain't
sure.
seen no animal making no loaves
They
out
watched
there.
they watched a cricket make a small loaf of bread.
a small ciabatta.
A small ciabatta. I was trying to come up with a cricket bread pun really quickly, and it did not come to me. And Dustin said durian tastes like a combo of apples and onions.
What is the word you guys are saying? I have no idea.
Durian. Google it, and you're going to be shocked by the way this fruit looks.
It's a fruit.
It's a fruit.
I'm gonna eat
never once heard that in my life.
I'm gonna eat a fruit on this show that tastes like a combination of tomatoes and tomatoes.
Also, Tommy said it is nasty. My wife eats it. Now, it is delicious.
smells like garbage.
My wife eats it.
There you go. Smells like garbage.
Smells like garbage. My wife eats that.
But they're these huge, unbelievably hard and spiky. Like, it's difficult to get in there. And then whenever you get in, you're greeted with the most unpleasant, pungent odor. It's kind of like,
what does it taste like?
Rotten fishy is the smell. Yeah. And then Dustin hit it pretty well. Apples and onions. There's like a sweet and savory aspect to it.
You said it's good?
Yeah, it's kind of fleshy. It's like a real like meaty fruit
nothing
as well.
about this is appealing.
It looks terrible.
You're not selling it.
And Dustin's selling it better. He said it's the king of fruits according to some. It's got consistency of like custard with chunks in it. So it's like a chunky custard.
It looks like scrambled eggs, kind of.
You should try it. You should try it at least once. It's a fruit. You guys like fruit.
I eat fruit.
You eat fruit. And Jay said, I joined at the wrong time. You joined at the right time. And Tommy said,
he joined, but it was like an hour and a half ago.
Tommy's like a mango dipped in sewage. Delicious.
Yes.
You guys ready
for eat a mango when you can eat a mango dipped in sewage?
Of course. You guys ready for some fantasy detective?
Yeah.
For those of you who have never joined us for this game, here's how it's going to work. I've got a series of clues that are going to lead our contestants towards a player. After each clue, they're going to have an opportunity to guess who they think the player is. We'll alternate based on the round, who will go first and who will go second. You get it right, the earlier in the clues, the more points you're going to get, a minimum of 1 if you get it on the last clue. And we'll roll from there. Whoever scores more points is the winner.
Cool.
All right.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
Let's get in there. Round 1. Coop, you're going to be guessing first in this round. And here's your first clue. This player grew up 10 miles away from Adrian Peterson's hometown. He often watched Peterson's high school games and used it to study the position.
I'm going to close the chat. Victor made me giggle before I did.
Victor said is the first clue. Khakis.
Is it khakis? Is it Derrick Henry?
It is not Derrick Henry. John Luke, do you have a guess?
Can you say the clue one more time? I wasn't listening.
Yeah, of course. This player grew up 10 miles away from Adrian Peterson's hometown. He often watched Peterson's high school games and used it to study the position.
Peterson's hometown. I have no idea where he's from.
I have a good idea.
Let's go with Dalvin Cook.
It is not Dalvin Cook. Here's your next clue. This player had 860 rushing yards on the season. Oop, you got a guess?
860 rushing yards. Is it Jamal Williams?
It is not Jamal Williams. John Luke, you got a guess for me?
DeAndre Swift?
It is not DeAndre Swift. Here's your next clue. This player was an undrafted free agent.
Undrafted free agent. Is it Austin Eckler?
It is not Austin Eckler. And I see Tommy in the
guess.
chat guessing Austin Eckler as well. JL, where are you going here?
I don't think it's not this player. James Robinson?
It is not James Robinson. We're going to move on to our last clue here. Only 4 clues for this one. After this player was traded, this player's former Colts called their GM Trader John. Coop, you got a guess?
Wait, can you read that one more time?
After this player was traded, this player's former coach called the GM that made the trade Trader John. I'm guessing a play on Trader Joe.
The player was traded. Is it Jeff Wilson?
This player is Jeff Wilson. Coop,
What?
you got that absolutely correct. You're going to get 1 point for correctly identifying that this was Jeff Wilson.
I didn't know Jeff Wilson was undrafted free agent, but I know that their GM is John Lynch.
There you go. Made it happen. Joe, would you have
That makes
gotten that
sense.
one after that clue?
No, I thought about going through all the GMs, but then I thought,
I don't know all. You thought I don't know all of them, so this may be a fruitless exercise. Where I get through the six, through the six I know, and none of them are named John. Huh?
yeah.
Like, how old was Jeff Wilson when Adrian Peterson was in high school? How old is Adrian
3?
Peterson?
How old is Jeff Wilson? I feel like
3.
Jeff Wilson's much younger than I thought he
Adrian
is.
Peterson's 37.
And Jeff Wilson's 27, so 10 years older than him.
I guess that's
So if you're in high school, that's like
I don't know how much studying he was doing when he was 8. 8 years old studying.
He's out there playing.
I drove 10 miles to watch a high school football game and study.
I was only 8. I don't know
I
why I
drove
was
myself.
driving.
Hey, Jeff. No, you didn't.
At 8 years old, Jeff Wilson walks in. Hey, Dad, can I borrow the car?
Right.
With a name like Jeff Wilson, he hit puberty at 3.
8-year-old Jeff Wilson could probably kick my ass, though. No doubt about it.
This is his second career. He came out an accountant. Jeff Wilson, accountant.
Jeff Wilson, accountant at law. Someone over the holiday break saw Leonard Fournette on TV at I think it was my parents' house. My cousin, she saw Leonard Fournette. I was like, wow, he looks so old. That guy's only 28, 27. And I was like, oh, he's been 40 since high school.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
It's
see
like
the
no one
him
else looks like.
Some guys are like
30 in high
that.
school.
Some guys are like that, though. You guys remember Greg Oden, the basketball player?
Yes.
Greg Oden, even when he was in, I think was he Ohio State? Even when he was in, I remember watching the NCAA tournament, and I'm like, is that Bill Russell? Like, who is this old man playing for Ohio State or wherever he went? Yeah.
I just think about how I looked when I was 17, 18, and how some of these like football players look when they're 17, 18, and just the idea that we would be on the same field playing the same game seems
Hi, I'm Simon.
absurd. Like, absolutely absurd that they yeah, I guess it is absurd because I wouldn't be on the same field playing the same game as them.
True.
So did the chat get that one?
No one in the chat got that one. We had some good guesses. We had some Deonta Foreman, some Austin Eckler, but no Jeff Wilson. Coop, you're the only one to get that one right. You outdid the chat. You outdid JL, but you only got 1 point, and we're on to round 2. You ready for round 2?
Victor said Leonard Fournette looks like Julio Franco old.
Julio Franco, dude. You guys know who that is?
I do know who that is.
I'm Googling right now.
Braves. He played first base till he was like 47 years old.
Oh my God, guys! Here's round 2.
Julio Franco is a great dictator name, right?
that is 100% a very good dictator. Leader Julio Franco.
Yeah, right. Like an island country that you can't leave. That would be a great dictator.
How would you feel if
Isn't he
someone
a
told you,
Dominican?
you know, your name?
Oh, he is. That's actually,
really screams authoritarian leader. Like, I'm not sure how I would react if someone said that.
dude. His full name is Julio Cesar Franco Robles. That's even more I didn't think it'd get any more dictator until you throw a Caesar in there.
It just start throwing the names of other historical dictators into your name, and it makes it a little bit more dictatory.
Right? His name is Julio Cesar Mussolini.
You guys ready for the next round?
Yeah, let's do it.
Here we go. Clue number 1. This player was lightly recruited because of a lack of playing time until his senior year.
Wait,
Jail,
one
you
more
got
time?
first. This player was lightly recruited because of a lack of playing time until his senior year.
Let's go with DeAndre Hopkins.
It is not DeAndre Hopkins. Coop, you got a guess?
So he's lightly recruited because there's lack of playing time until he's senior year in high school.
I'm guessing, yeah.
Okay. So that gives me no help whatsoever. How about
Could give you some help.
okay. How about Brock Purdy?
It is not Brock Purdy. This player's father played safety in the 1990s for the Packers, Eagles, Chiefs, and Giants. You got a guess, JL?
This player's dad?
This player's dad.
Oh, I don't know.
Packers, Eagles, Chiefs, and
Kyle
Giants.
Rudolph.
Is not Kyle Rudolph. Coop, you got a guess?
Packers, Eagles, Chiefs, and Giants. That's so many teams, dude. Is it
Yep, that's him.
Shut up. Shut up.
You got it. It's
Shut up. Is it I don't know, DJ Chark?
It is not DJ Chark. In November, this player won Rookie of the Month.
In November?
Is the answer
Rookie
down there?
of the month?
Yeah, November, this player won Rookie of
Rookie
the
of the Month club.
Oh, it's me, right?
Yeah.
Rashad White.
It is not Rashad White. Alex in the chat. Good morning, Alex, saying these are tough. These are tough. And guys, a reminder, play along. If you get it before our host, we'll shout you out afterwards. Coop, you got a guess? JL just guessed Rashad White, Rookie of the Month in November.
The Rookie of the Month club. Is it November?
No, you don't sing. I'm singing.
Oh, okay.
Singing is supposed to make you sad.
Sad, only sad singing aloud. Is it Kayvon Thibodeau?
It is not Kayvon Thibodeau. And here's your final clue. This player had a breakout game in week 10, catching 4 passes for 107 yards and 3 touchdowns.
3
tutties.
3?
3. What you got, JL? You got an answer for me? This is the last clue.
Kenneth Walker.
It is not Kenneth Walker.
He's the third. He's got a dad.
I don't remember a 4-pass, 107-yard receiving game for Kenneth Walker, but maybe I'm just missing that one.
Yeah, you're right. Can
Coop?
can I make a different guess?
I got it.
After Coop misses it.
I'm not missing it, bro. It's Garrett Wilson.
It is not Garrett Wilson.
Bonk.
JL, I'll give you guys each one more guess.
Damian Pierce.
It is not Damian Pierce.
Fudge.
That was another running back.
Hold on, I'm thinking.
Coop, you got 5 seconds.
Come on. 3 touchdowns.
3, 2,
Bonk.
1.
Chris Olave.
It is not Chris Olave. And here's a clue I'm going to give you for no points. Kevin Tompkins in the chat saying, "You guys are dead to me." Come on, guys. You
I got
know
it.
who it is.
It's Christian Watson.
It's Christian Watson.
Alan Lazar. Oh, yeah.
And we had multiple people in the chat getting this one. Your average Joe came in first with Christian Watson.
Nice.
Kevin Tompkins with the you know who it is. And then
I thought
Victor.
it was a running back.
And you're right. It is Watson. You guys got it. Nice job.
He looked pretty
We did
good.
it.
He
We
looked
did
pretty
it.
good this week. That catch he made, man, that was a big boy catch. So he had a few earlier this year that were, you could chalk it up to Aaron Rodgers or bad coverage. That catch he made this week was that was a big dog catch with the guy being pass interfered with, guy grabbing his arm. He still makes the catch anyway. That's what you want to see.
That was hot. That was absolutely hot.
Especially for fantasy football, because you forget that in fantasy football, making the catch is all the difference. In real life football, pass
Doesn't
interference,
matter.
you'll take the pass interference call. It doesn't matter. In fantasy football, it absolutely matters.
100%. What do you guys think about Christian Watson next year? Had a bit of a breakout this year, but Aaron Rodgers not looking likely that he'll be back in Green Bay. Does that temper your feelings about Christian Watson?
I think that's one of the only things that does.
The dude looks for real. I was a doubter at first after the big game, but I'm buying in now. But I am nervous. I want to see what they do at this quarterback position. JL, are you going to be drafting Christian Watson next season, you think, with the state of the QB room in Green Bay?
Yeah, I think I will be. And I think Coop's point is, or was it Simon's point? I can't remember. But it was whichever one of you made the point that
If it was a good
he's
point, it was
shown
me.
us that he's good enough to transcend QB play.
100%. Tommy in the chat had a question for us. Wanted to know if we could take one rookie to be on our team next year, who would it be? So if you're taking one rookie right now to be on your team next season, it's Breece Hall for me.
In real life or fantasy football?
Fantasy football, I'm assuming.
I would
Fantasy
say-
football, Brees Hall.
Yeah, it's got to be Brees Hall.
Real life, Sauce Gardner.
I'll say.
Yeah, it might be Sauce. It might be Aiden Hutchinson. He's looking like a beast out there as well. But in fantasy football, give me Brees Hall. And let's say Brees Hall's off the table. Where are you guys going? You got to pick from the guys who played this year.
Just put them all in order.
Just pick Kenneth Walker. You just go right down the list.
Kenneth Walker's not a bad one.
Anyone but Malik Willis?
Maybe Garrett Wilson.
Maybe Garrett Wilson.
Jameson Williams looked good this week.
He did.
He's live.
Why did I have Beatty Feathers typed in? Did we talk about a man named Beatty Feathers earlier on this show? He's just
Where'd you type that? He's just
Google.
really
I
old.
had it pulled up on Google. Did somebody? Oh, Tommy asked something about
old timey wide receiver, right?
Okay, just want to make sure I didn't just randomly type in Beatty Feathers. Somebody brought up Beatty Feathers.
I have the chat closed, so I have the chat closed for this game.
I don't see anything about Beatty Feathers in here. But William Beatty, Big Chief Feathers, was an American football player and coach of football and baseball. He played college football and college basketball at the University of Tennessee, and then coached baseball after playing college football and basketball. Shout out Beatty Feathers.
That was back when the population of the America was like 100 people. You know what I mean? Like you could just like smoke butts and eat hot dogs and play like
smoke butts.
You could smoke butts and eat hot dogs and drink beers and play like 4 different sports and go to the Olympics.
Tommy said he's the first 1,000-yard running back in the NFL.
There you go.
Alex said Garrett Wilson going to be in the Chase and JJ tier next offseason.
Ooh, that's spicy.
That is.
Who's going to be that?
Garrett Wilson.
Could happen. He's playing the snaps, man. They love him over there. He immediately went ahead of Elijah Moore.
And Kevin in the chat also saying Garrett Wilson, dogs. Gotta go Garrett Wilson. And Victor saying Chris Olave. The only thing with Chris Olave that's preventing him from being in that conversation for me is the quarterback play there in New Orleans. I think Chris Olave's talent is there. But, man, I'm nervous about who's going to be throwing him the ball.
Yeah.
You guys ready for round 3 of Fantasy Detectives? The score is 1-0 in Coop's favor. Here is your next
pretty low
round.
score. Pretty low scoring game. But these have been tough, man.
Coop, you're up first. He is the
Right.
first player in NFL history to throw 4 interceptions and the game-winning touchdown in the same game.
Is that I feel like a lot of
Can you
people
repeat it?
He threw 4 interceptions in one game and also threw the game-winning touchdown.
And he's the first player in NFL history to do that. So first player in NFL history to throw 4 interceptions in a game and throw the game-winning touchdown.
This year?
My guess would be it happened this week, but I don't really remember somebody threw 4 interceptions. That sounds like something that Kirk Cousins would do.
That is incorrect. Good guess, though, JL.
Wasn't
what
gonna
do you
guess
think?
Kirk Cousins. What a dumb guess. Oh, what I was gonna guess was 4 interceptions to game winning. I'm gonna go with Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow, JL, is incorrect, which means we're back to Coop round 2. This player used to have a bus named after him.
He used to have
Used to have a bus named after him. Bus, B-U-S, not bust, B-U-S-T.
Jimmy Graham. Is it? He used to have a. Is it?
I'm thinking of all sorts of stupid quarterback bus combos now. I've got one I want to say out loud so bad.
I don't know many. I only know like 2 bus related quarterback stories. Bus named after him.
What do you got?
Is it Skylar Thompson?
It is not Skylar Thompson. JL, you got a guess here?
Is it Andy Dalton?
It is not Andy Dalton. Here is your next clue. After graduating from high school, he was selected by the Baltimore Orioles with the 5th pick in the 41st round. Coop, you've got the first guess here.
5th. He was selected by the Baltimore Orioles in the 5th pick.
What year?
And it doesn't say. After graduating from high school, he was selected by the Baltimore Orioles with the 5th pick in the 41st round.
That's
the piece of information here is that after high school, he was drafted by the Orioles.
That's so deep. Brady was drafted, but he was drafted by the Expos.
What are you thinking, Coop?
Think about sports. Is it I'm guessing it's an active quarterback, but it might not be. That would be wild. Is it?
Let some of that sports seep out instead of just
Russell Wilson was drafted by the Rangers. Kyler Murray was drafted by the Oakland A's. Is it?
Just listing other players.
Just gonna rattle off player names. Is it Geno Smith?
It is not Geno Smith.
Good guess, though.
Dale, here is your next. Oh, no, it's the same clue, but you've got a guess on this one.
All right, let's go with Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers is incorrect.
About him out we goes.
Here's your last clue. He became just the second black starting quarterback to win a Super Bowl, joining Super Bowl 22 winner Doug Williams.
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson is absolutely correct. That is the correct answer. Drafted right out of high school in 2007 by the Baltimore Orioles. And the name of the bus named after him?
Russ Bus.
No, it's worse.
The bus.
Wills Bus.
It's Bustle Wilson.
Bustle
is the name of this bus.
Yes, Bustle Wilson's so good.
That's
and
so
shout out
bad.
some people in the chat for getting that one. We had multiple people get it. I think
Bustle Wilson's the one you came up with, or it's the actual name of it?
That's the actual name is Bustle Wilson. That's the real name.
Multiple people knew it from Bustle Wilson.
Kevin said it was Russ. Got it. Knew that it was Russ right there.
Nice.
And Trenton said Russell the Hustle Wilson, and Victor saying that's a great bus name.
Bustle Wilson's so dumb.
The one I wanted to say was Derek Bus instead of Derek Carr.
That's so dumb.
That's even way. I didn't think it could get, I didn't think it could get worse, but you did it, dude.
You did it, Derek Bus. Who's gonna be riding on his bus right now?
Not the people that are in the Derek Carr. If you can afford the Derek Carr, then you probably don't have to take the Derek Bus.
That's true.
But the Derek Bus is a great option.
Derek Jet is what I prefer.
The Bustle Wilson has been a bit of a struggle bus this year.
Yeah, that bus is broken down multiple times.
Bustle Wilson. So
Jamarcus,
that score is
Jamarcus
now.
Bustle. That's just moving the same word around.
Said, Russ has always been a meme. Yeah, always.
Truly.
We just didn't see it.
You guys ready for one more round?
Yeah.
The score is now 2-0. But Jail, you can come back in this one.
Yeah.
Kevin Dawkins said Derek public transportation currently. DBTC.
And here is round 4. John Luke, you're up first. This is your last opportunity to win this game. Here's your first clue. Before college, this running back originally committed to the University of Georgia.
Before college.
One more time.
And Jail's up first. Just a reminder. Before college, this player was originally committed to the University of Georgia.
Devin Singletary.
It's not Devin Singletary. Coop, you got a guess?
Decommits. Who's the decommit? So that to me, that since I don't know who, I don't really care who committed where before they didn't go. All this tells me is this guy didn't go to Georgia, which rules out about a handful of guys for me.
It eliminates a couple at least.
Eliminates a couple. Is it
What you got, Coop?
I don't know, man. Is it give me another 5 seconds.
No, absolutely not. Come on.
I can't even
We
think
got
of
one little piece of information.
I can't
So
think of
just,
I can't think of any players' names. Is it Jalen Hurts?
It is not Jalen Hurts. But here's your next clue. This player's grandmother nicknamed him Shaka. Shocha. Shaka. Jail, you got a guess?
Yeah, I do got to guess. Devin Singletary.
Devin Singletary.
I already guessed Devin Singletary.
You did already guess Devin Singletary is incorrect. Coop, what do you got?
What? You're not gonna let me actually guess one?
You can have another guess.
Is
was the
it
same one?
No,
Ramondre Stevenson.
I'm up. Oh,
He guessed Devin Singletary
joking.
in the first round. It is not Ramondre Stevenson. So Coop, you're up.
okay. Is it Devin Singletary? Is
Could
it?
be. Good guess. Good guess.
It's not. Okay. Is it Travis Etienne?
It is not Travis Etienne.
Ooh, that's a good guess.
On to our next clue.
Georgia.
You ready for the next clue?
Georgia.
The next clue is the only running back drafted before this player in their draft class was Ezekiel Elliott.
The only player drafted before this player in his draft class was Ezekiel Elliott, right?
Time machine.
The only running back, not only player. There were other players drafted before this player, but the only running back drafted before this player in their draft class was Ezekiel Elliott.
Derrick Henry?
Derrick Henry is the correct answer, JL, and that's going to get you 2 points, tying it up with Coop. You guys are going to end today's game in a nice little tie. A nice little tie. And no one in the chat getting that one. We had some McCaffrey guesses, some Fournette guesses as well. Jay said just keep guessing Devin Singletary until it's right. It would have been right eventually, but you guys didn't quite get there. Your last clue for this one was going to be this player has 2 playoff games with over 175 rushing yards.
Not a giveaway. Not a giveaway for sure.
Good job.
When you think playoffs and you think 175 rushing yards multiple times, I feel like you go Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's where my brain goes. Guys, coming up, we are going to do our ways to spend your new free time bracket. I know that's an important question everyone's struggling with right now. So we're going to help you out a little bit, and then we're going to make some playoff predictions as well. Right now, you're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Green Screens Media back at it again with your BSN timeout. And today we're handing out our mid-season awards in college basketball. With me, as always, the captain of our ship at Green Screens Media, Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, let's start with the mid-season Wooden Award for the most outstanding player in the game.
Yeah, I got to talk about the big man from the Purdue Boilermakers, Zach Edey, the current #1 team in the country. This guy's just an absolute animal. His ability to stay on the floor this year for over 30 minutes a game has raised the ceiling of this team to national championship aspirations. He's averaging over 21 points, 13 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game. He's an absolute load in the paint and one of the most dominant forces in college basketball.
Yeah, Edey doing just about everything for these Boilermakers. I want to go over to Coach of the Year. Going to go chalk here, technically rock chalk. Bill Self for the Kansas Jayhawks. He has this team all the way up to #3 in the country on a 13-1 record, including 2-0 in a very tough Big 12 conference. Probably what's most impressive about this run this year is in the context of the players that he lost in the offseason. There's no more McCormick. There's no more Abaji, Martin, Braun. But yet again, Bill Self has reloaded, and he's getting everyone's best shot. I think he's got these Jayhawks primed for a title defense.
Yeah, I love this new look Kansas team. I think they can make some real noise come March. I want to talk about Defensive Player of the Year, Cliff Amoria from the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. This team's 3rd in defensive efficiency, and he's a big reason why. Averaging nearly 10 rebounds and 2 blocks per game. These stats, while they're impressive, they don't do this young man justice. He's disrupting the game on every defensive possession and one of the most fun players on that side of the ball.
Man, Rutgers is a nightmare on the defensive side. Going to go over to most improved player. For me, it's Chris Murray of Iowa. We all saw his brother Keegan explode onto the scene last year. Played well enough to get himself drafted to the NBA, but that left a void for these Iowa Hawkeyes, and one that Chris Murray has stepped up to fill in nicely. This is a player that was averaging less than 10.5 last season. Those numbers have more than doubled this year. 20.4 points, 9.8 rebounds per game. Chris Murray looks like a legit star on the rise.
Yeah, I love what Chris Murray has done now that he's out of the shadow of his brother. But I want to talk about a potential Cinderella story come March. Maybe an upset, the glass slipper here, the Florida Atlantic Owls. 13-1, 3-0 in Conference USA so far. Head coach Dusty May has done a fantastic job. His team's headlined by guards John L. Davis and Elijah Martin. They've routed off 12 straight wins, including victories over Florida and UAB. Don't sleep on these Owls come March. They may make some noise.
I think this glass slipper will fit for FAU, and that will do it for your BSN timeout. Make sure you stay locked here on the Better Sports Network and check out Green Screens Media on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube so you don't miss a minute of our college basketball coverage.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. How you feeling, Coop? You doing all right?
Doing fantastic-nomical.
It's 9:09 a.m. your clock, 8:09 a.m. the real clock. So I just wanted to do a quick check-in on you, make sure everything was good.
Thanks for checking, man. I'm deciding which, I've got these. I've been dealing with my watches lately. And the funny thing about watches I find is that like the fancier they get, people talk about like the mechanical ones and the automatic ones, but this Casio one still keeps better time than all the other ones. It's like you got all these fancy watches, but can't really beat the $20 Casio watch.
It's got a calculator on it?
No, I got to get one of those ones. Those are kind of hard to find, though. I feel.
Did you guys have in your middle school where like there was a phase where people had the universal remote watches and you would like program it to the brand of the TV in the classroom, and then in the middle of class it would like come on and change channels and put stuff on, turn the projector on. That was like a trend in my middle school. There was like people started getting them, like 1 or 2 kids got them, and then it became a problem, and then like 30 kids had them in the 6th grade, and then they banned the universal remote watches. You weren't allowed to have them at school anymore once they figured it took a while for them to catch on, though. Know what I mean? Like there was a little bit where they didn't know what was going on with the TVs.
What is happening with this?
That's mischievous. I like that.
There was also one class in 6th grade language arts where we were sitting there and someone had been messing with the teacher with the TV the whole class, like just messing with her. And she was like about to snap, but it was time to like do reading in front of the class. And she was going to read the first paragraph and then pass it off to someone else to read the next paragraph of the book we were reading, right? And she stands up. She's not happy with us. People have been like changing the remote all day. And then she collapses, full on faints in front of the class. And like, I don't know, some people thought it was like a bit that she was trying to prove a point because she was pissed at us, but no, she just full on fainted in the middle of class down there. And there's a room full of 30 6th graders who, I'm just going to tell you, 6th graders, not the best at like handling emergencies. They all just started screaming and running around, and one person pushed the button, and me and a couple other kids ran into the hallway and just started screaming, "Our teacher fainted!" Like just at the top of our lungs.
She's dead.
It was all the remote watches. I'm so sorry. We'll never press the universal remote watches again.
Did you have a universal remote watch, Simon?
No, I didn't. But the kid who sat next to me did.
I'm looking at one.
I was an accomplice.
I'm looking at one right now, dude. These puppies are hideous. It's gotta be the ugliest asymmetrical watch I've ever seen, dude. I need it. I need it bad.
Yeah, they're pretty.
Who's gonna walk in 2 days with one of these bad boys on his wrist?
Dude,
somehow he's gonna be able to control my computer from his watch that's from the 90s.
Control my soundboard.
Type in Casio TV remote watch, and each one is uglier than the last. The one with the yellow buttons is an atrocity.
We're going to pull that one out. Guys, it is time for our bracket that we're doing today. The fantasy football season may have ended, so maybe you've got some more free time on your hands. You need to figure out what you're going to do with it. I've got some suggestions for you, and we're going to do a bracket to determine which one is the best. Here are the options we're going to be voting on. With all your free time now, the fantasy football is over. You could read the Lord of the Rings trilogy. You could watch all 1,223 episodes of the Pokemon anime. You could get jacked to start working out. You could learn to play the ukulele. You could get really into disc golf, or you could join an adult kickball league. You could learn to knit, or I guess you could play fantasy baseball in a couple months. That's another option as well. Ooh. These are the options we are going to be voting on what to do with your free time now that fantasy football is over.
Wait, no, cranking sausage didn't make the cut?
Well, I mean, you do that even when you don't have free time. You cranking sausage you make time for.
You make time for. Okay, so these are just kind of like offhand. These aren't important things like cranking sausage.
It's like a hobby, I guess one could say. Whereas cranking sausage is a lifestyle.
It's a passion. A lifestyle. Okay. All right.
It's JL's LinkedIn title is Sausage Cranker. Is what it says.
Yeah. I get a lot of private DMs on there.
John Luke Garofalo, Sausage Cranker. 10 years experience.
For Sausage Crank King.
And 10 plus years experience.
Okay.
SC certified, baby.
Here's the first round, guys. First up, we've got read the Lord of the Rings trilogy versus watch all 1,223 episodes of Pokemon. JL, it's the off season. You got some free time. Which one of these are you doing?
Reading the Lord of the Rings trilogy sounds like a luxury. Sounds like a luxury. I ain't got time to sit down and read all that.
Now you do. Fantasy football.
I have so many other books that I have that are just piled up waiting though.
The thing is,
to sit down and read that, like I could do work while I'm doing Pokemon episodes of Pokemon. I honestly think that's the best choice here.
but are you getting the full experience?
I'm getting the full experience because it brings me back to my childhood. Lord of the Rings trilogy will not bring me back to my childhood.
How long are those episodes? 30 minutes?
It'll take me to Mordor.
They're at most 21 minutes, the Pokemon episodes.
And you have access to them without commercials. I mean, that's still quite a long amount of time. I mean, so for me, I don't really watch a lot of Pokemon. But I will say this.
Now's your chance.
Pokemon's awesome. I'll also say this. I read The Hobbit, and I was like, The Hobbit's awesome. I want more of this. So then I went to read the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Little dry. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Why can't they just make a movie out of this?
They should make the movies might even be better than the Hobbit movies. You know, if they were hypothetically to do such a thing. So I went to read the
Lord of the Rings nerd.
I've tried to read those books, dude. I made it through the first one. Second one, I was just like, enough. I was like, when am I gonna start enjoying these books? So I'm gonna go with watching the Pokemon because I've already attempted to read those books. They're just not as good as the Hobbit. They're a little bit drawn out, a little bland. So yeah, give me Pokemon.
I hear what you're saying. They can be a little bit dry at times, especially that second book can get dry. But the journey you go on reading all three of them is just so phenomenal. It's like one of the unmatched reading experiences to go cover to cover on that trilogy, read all three books. That being said, Pokemon, let me just tell you guys from firsthand experience. I think there have been at least 2 summers where Pokemon just cured the sadness that I was feeling, where I was just really sad and I just laid in the basement and I was like, I'm going to turn on Pokemon on my laptop and just watch this for 6 hours. And then you know what? Things felt a little bit better. It's the perfect show to use some of that time. It doesn't require like high emotional investment, but you still have like high emotion while watching it. Like it's the rare show where you get high emotion, but you're not stressed the entire time. So I'm going to watch all 1,223 episodes of Pokemon.
I like that, Simon. They used to play it. I would have them play it every single time I went to the cardiologist as a kid. They do like, what's it called? Sonogram thing. I'm forgetting the name, but I think it's a sonogram on your heart. And I just sit there and watch Pokemon the whole time. Every single time. You're right, Simon. It is that comfort.
There's a comfort. There's a comfort in watching it. And Kevin said Jamal Williams is judging this answer. And Victor saying Pokemon. Yeah, we got Pokemon moving on to the next round now. Up next, we've got Get Jacked or Learn to Play Ukulele. Coop, you got all this free time now. You hitting up the gym and getting absolutely jacked, getting ripped, or are you learning to play the ukulele?
So when I look at these two, they're both equally cool and equally good for you. You know, you get jacked, it's good for your health, makes you look cool, but playing the ukulele also makes you look pretty cool, right? And it, you know, having a hobby, having something to look forward to, also good for your health, I would say. The difference between these two is that when you get jacked, like it takes a lot of effort to continue to be jacked. Where if you play the ukulele, if you learn to play a couple songs on the ukulele, you know, maybe you learn how to play that song from Wizard of Oz, you know,
Over the Rainbow.
Yeah, you learn to play that one. You get a couple
from Wizard of Oz.
I think that's where that's
Are you about to just run through the songs I know how to play on ukulele? Somewhere Over the Rainbow, I'm Yours by Jason Mraz. Yeah, you just learn a couple of the classics. And then...
That was my guess. Yeah, maybe like a handful of James Taylor songs, which should take about 5 minutes. So yeah, once you get that, the entire discography of Jack Johnson, which should take about 10 minutes. So like once you get those under your belt, I feel like you don't have to continue with, you know, honing that craft. You can just kind of coast on it. And I think that's what I'm trying to do in terms of relaxing. Like I'd like to just chill. So give me a little Ukulele, do you know little banana pancakes? Make a banana pancakes. Da-na-na-na, you know. So give me that. That's what I'm going with. Jack Johnson on ukulele.
Coop going with learn to play ukulele. And learn to play ukulele, Coop, you're right. They are both positive for you. It's probably good for your brain to learn to play ukulele. You know what I mean? Like that practice of playing an instrument has definitely got to be something positive for your brain over there. That being said, I think I'm going to roll with get jacked. I don't want to be like mega jacked, but that's something like you want to get in shape, right? And maybe this is the opportunity. Like you talk about like, oh, it requires upkeep, but maybe that initial push is what you need. You got that extra free time. You can go spend that time hitting the gym, doing whatever it is that you do to get jacked. I'm rolling that way. You can make a positive life difference. Set your life on a trend to be healthier this off season. JL, you got the final vote. You learning to play ukulele or are you getting jacked? You hitting up the music lessons with Coop? You sitting on the couch next to him on YouTube with your ukuleles together, or are you going to the gym with me?
The ukulele is a child's toy.
So the guy who just voted for watch all 1,223 episodes of Pokemon over read the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Well, learning an instrument, that's childish.
The ukulele, childish. Learn a real instrument, you know? You could learn guitar. You could learn the flute. You can learn any of those. But ukulele, are you kidding me?
The mountain
you might as well learn the triangle.
I feel like once you've learned to play the guitar, you've also learned to play the ukulele.
Yes.
Is that not true?
You are correct.
Is that not true? Simon?
Generally is true. Yes,
Different
Simon.
strings. Oh, I never learned to play the guitar. I just once bought a very expensive guitar to try to incentivize myself to learn how to play it, and then ran out of money about 4 years later and sold it for half the price I bought it for.
Classic.
Never having learned to play a
Financial
single chord on it.
Pretty good investment.
Didn't I teach you a chord? No, I taught Tim a chord once.
Yeah, I never learned a chord. Tommy said, playing the flute and grinding sausage.
I once learned to play the easiest song on guitar. Green Day Brain Stew. You know that one, Joe?
I know the song. I don't know it on guitar.
It's super easy. I mean, if you think about the song itself, right? Which now I can't think of, but it's
so John Luke, you're voting for get jacked here. You're throwing the child's toy in the garbage.
Yeah,
get jacked moves on.
Get out of it. Learn piano. Ever heard of it?
Ever heard of it? And Victor said definitely learn to play the accordion.
The accordion, what a cool instrument. Bagpipes, also a cool instrument.
Nick in here with my financial philosophy. Buy high, sell low, baby. Yeah, that's what you do. Buy high, sell low. Step 3, profit.
You have like a Hyundai Kia with that license plate on it. Right?
Say Hyundai Kia. Did you just throw it's like 2 car manufacturers together?
Close enough, dude. But I didn't think I was gonna get fact checked on that one.
2 makes, no model.
You're driving your Porsche Lamborghini, and but like that's like the typical rich guy license plate, right? Like buy low, sell high. You just imagine having a trash car and you go get a custom license plate.
On my
buy high, sell low.
On my 98 CRV with faded paint chipping off, I get a buy high, sell low. Scott Fish in here with a bagpipes are an S tier instrument. When I was in college, the girl I was dating at the time, her father was running a charity golf tournament, and he asked me in all earnestness, he said, "Do you happen to know a bagpipe player I could hire for this event?" And I had to look at him and be like, "I'm so sorry, I don't know a bagpipe player, but I'll ask around." I guess I'll ask around, see if anyone I know plays the bagpipe.
Did you find one?
No, I did not. And I didn't really ask around because I just knew.
I know one.
Do you know a bagpipe player?
Yep. In college, the kid who lived across the hallway from my roommate Andres and I, was my best friend in high school. He played bagpipes. And then we pulled out our guitars and jammed with him.
Are you serious or are you kidding? Because I should have asked you. I would have been the savior had I known that, because you knew a kid at Clemson that played the bagpipes. Oh man, I should ask around.
I did.
Where were you, dude?
Here's our
somewhere.
Dale was at the gym getting jacked.
The bagpipes they're kind of an all or nothing instrument. Like you can't just show up to the campfire and play like a little ditty on your bagpipes.
I play a little bit of bagpipes.
I
Yeah,
just play-
no, it's not a
Here's a
show
little-
up with your bagpipes.
Here's a
type of
little
thing.
soft one. Yeah, like are there any bagpipe jams that are kind of like soothing? They're all kind of in your face a little bit, I feel.
Yeah. No.
I listen to bagpipes just to fall asleep at night. Every single night. Just
Soothing YouTube soothing bagpipe sounds.
I guarantee
In
you
this
it's probably
moment,
like a drone metal band with the bagpipes as the focused instrument, because they would perfectly fit into just like some drone metal music, some ambient sound metal.
Metal.
Drone metal's
the
like
sound of drones.
think of it like ambient sound metal, where it's just like there's a lot of noise going on in drone metal. And bagpipes would be the perfect accompaniment in a drone metal band.
We should make drones that play bagpipe music.
To make drone metal band.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing in the off season. Add it to the bracket.
Yeah. Get rid of ukulele. We're throwing in drone metal band.
Yeah, teach a drone to play metal on bagpipes. Yeah, switch that out for learn to knit. Two very similar.
Here's your next matchup, guys. We've got get really into disc golf or an adult kickball league. And I'm gonna go first on this one, and this is the toughest one for me because my immediate reaction is to jump straight to the adult kickball league. It's hard to make friends as an adult, so it's a nice little social outing. Kickball is a nice, relaxing sport, but you still get those competitive juices flowing. That being said, the best part about disc golf, one investment, you buy some discs, then that's it as far as price goes. The rest of the off season, the only thing you're paying for is snacks if you want to bring them and gas to get to the disc golf course, because 99% of those courses are free. You can just show up. They're on public parks. They're in parks area, and you can just show up and play disc golf. So that is a nice element of it.
Kickball.
You got to pay to join the league. It's at specific times. Know what I mean? It's appointment.
Why can't you just play with your boys?
Yeah.
Girls.
So
in the park.
What I did say was adult kickball league. In the thing right here, like you join a intramural sports kickball league out there, because the social element is part of it. Like it's a plus and a minus.
Let me throw this on you. Let me throw this on you. If you're getting really into kickball, into disc golf, and if I'm looking at this bracket correctly, really is in all caps, is it not?
It is.
But you didn't say disc golf.
In that sense, if you're really into disc golf, wouldn't you be getting into a league?
But that's not what this is. This isn't disc
golf. And people who get
this is
like
really into disc golf.
By getting really into disc golf, you just like get obsessed. You buy the new discs. You head out to the park every day. But
it's a valid point, but it's a separate thing.
You're gonna be obsessed, but you're not gonna join a league.
There's not really you could try to go pro. You could play in tournaments. Know what I mean? If you wanted to, and that could be part of your
Kennesaw, Georgia.
And part of playing disc golf, I think the point I'm making here is you can't just decide on Tuesday at 2 p.m. that you want to go play a game of kickball with your adult kickball league. You can decide in the middle of the day, Tuesday, that you want to just go play around a disc golf by yourself at the disc golf course. You can just show up with your discs and play. It's not appointment leisure. It's just leisure whenever you want it. Instead of Tuesday night at 7 p.m., I've got my kickball game. And then afterwards, I'm obligated to go to the brewery and have a beer with them afterwards, which is a plus. You're making friends. You're getting to hang out. But it's also, at this time, I have to do this. And because of that, because of the relaxation around it, I've talked myself out of it. I'm going to get really into disc golf because I got foamy. I got the fear of missing in, man. It's like, man, I could be at home not doing this. JL, where's your vote going?
All right. First of all, War Chungus in the chat said, not ukulele's overrated, so check mark. Fully agree with that. And they said, disc golf, you mean frisbee basket? Overrated.
I do mean frisbee basket.
This whole argument has me leaning towards voting against Simon. But JL, you're up.
Kevin Tompkins in the chat said he was once ejected from an adult kickball league.
I believe it. I believe it immediately.
Let us know what you got to do for that to happen. Were you just like kicking dirt on the ump's shoes?
Could it be? I feel like he was just getting in the face of that pure girl.
You charge the mound.
He said,
we got Scott Fish in the chat too. It said disc golf easy, so much easier to drink beer while playing. I'm far better at kickball though.
And Kevin Franken, you're saying good morning. What's up, Kevin? Welcome
What up,
in.
Kevin? Welcome in.
And then Scott also saying really into disc golf. You are out practicing in your free time, spending money, annoying friends with your disc golf talk. Yeah, for sure. Like you're getting a little bit too into disc golf as part of this, but it's also on your own time and you're doing it because you want to. JL, where's your vote going?
So my vote, this one's pretty tough. I'm gonna go with adult because I know myself, and if I have to choose, I mean, if I'm getting really into disc golf, I'm gonna try and go out and play. But I'm the type of person, I like playing sports with other people. Like if I can, that's just what I like to do. And so maybe I'll go out and play disc golf alone. I probably will, but I'm gonna enjoy the adult kickball league a little more.
Scott Fishing here saying Coop changed my mind with that really talk. He's going kickball now. Coop, we've got one vote for kickball, one vote for disc golf. Where's your vote going?
Yeah, so I think about the disc golf. Disc golf is fun. It 100% is. But when you really get into it, like I don't think I can smoke weed on that level. You know, maybe I'm not really a big weed smoker in general. You know what I mean? I don't think I could take it to that stage where I'm like really into disc golf. So for me, it's got to be kickball.
It's like level 7 pothead is the disc golf aficionado, right. And you're not quite on level 7.
Exactly.
What if we turn this into golf?
And the other part of it is that like kickball, you got the glory of the home run, which is obviously amazing. Not to mention like you kick it and then somebody else has to go chase it down. When you throw the frisbee, you have to go get it. I feel like you're just kind of making chores for yourself. So yeah, give me kickball. Give me kickball in this one.
That is the worst argument against disc golf I've ever heard.
I told you, Simon, I was just gonna figure out a way to vote against whatever you said, and that's the result. That's the result of that. So
adult kickball league moving on to the next round.
And said, looking up disc golf courses in Vegas for next month. I'm gonna be so bad when we do that.
I'll bring my discs. I haven't broken them out since high school.
Of course you haven't.
Your bag. Are those like how heavy are those?
Depends on the disc. Some of the drivers are a little heavier. We got some weight on that putter, but the mid-range discs don't have too much heft on them.
You sound like you're already really into disc golf.
In high school,
is that actually how they talk about it?
Yeah, there's drivers and putters and mid-range discs.
I had no idea. I thought there was just one disc the whole time. That makes sense, though.
You can play with one disc, but they have different flight patterns. I also have different drivers where some like have different patterns that they are meant to curve whenever you throw them. But that being said, it was in high school that I was really into it because I was broke and you could buy 5 discs and then play every single day, period, like just for free. So that was when I was into disc golf.
As opposed to buying a kickball. But so Warchungus,
you need 10 friends available to play kickball. Like I feel like that's the part you're missing here.
You got to start being a little bit cooler, Simon. Warchungus in the chat said, I was a PE teacher once. When you make the kids play kickball, you'll get at least one kid getting a shot in the nuts. Happens all the time. 10 out of 10. Funny every time. That is funny every time.
Did you guys ever play fast track in PE in like middle school or high school? It was kickball, but everyone on the team got to kick before the inning was over. So there were no outs. Or there were no outs from kicking, but how it worked was the bases were large areas siphoned off like cones,
I did play that.
And you did not stop running the bases until everyone on your team had kicked. So at the beginning, there's just one person running the bases, but it just keeps adding to people running the bases whenever you kick. And as long as you're not out, how you get out is if you're in between bases when the ball gets back to the pitcher. And so by the end, there's 30 kids running the bases and one person supposedly keeping score at home plate as everybody passes while every person just gets the kick. It is so unbelievably chaotic to get like 60 middle schoolers in the gym playing it.
Let's play that in Vegas, dude. Would you kickball?
Get fast track, get the entire FSGA event to play fast track in the
Scott Fitch breaks both his feet again.
100%
with his ankles.
Guys, here is our last first round matchup. We've got learn to knit versus fantasy baseball. JL, are you learning to knit? A lifelong skill that can provide you with gifts for others or crafts for yourself, something to do. Or are you playing fantasy baseball? It seems like a lot to figure out over there.
I can't think of a better gift than a hand knit item. I mean, truly, if I think back to every single hand knit item I was ever gifted in my life, pure joy is the only thing I can remember feeling. On the other hand, fantasy baseball is a lot of work. and I plan to get into it this offseason. So I'm gonna have to go with fantasy baseball.
1 vote for fantasy baseball. We've got a knitting all day in the chat from Tommy. Coop, where's your vote going?
That's very responsible of you, JL, to pick that one.
I love being able. It sounds pretty appealing just to be able to sit there doing other things while casually doing whatever knitters do.
I'll tell you what, dude. I already play fantasy baseball, and if I could somehow find a way to not play fantasy baseball, that would be the best option. I'm already I'm already pretty committed to playing. I do got to know what's going on with baseball for this type of stuff, and I'm pretty good at it. But the thing with fantasy baseball is it is such a pain in the ass, especially when you play the daily lineups. Like sitting there and thinking to yourself, like, all right, I got to decide between. I have the 8th best third baseman, and he plays at 1 o'clock, and he's a right-handed batter facing a left-handed pitcher, and there's a 30% chance of rain. Or I have the 4th best third baseman, but he plays in the goddamn middle of the night for the Seattle Mariners, and there's a 78% chance of rain, and it's a lefty versus a lefty. And when Mercury's in retrograde, this guy usually grounds out to second base twice every third at bat. It's like you have to be a scout, you have to be a friggin' meteorologist. Like fantasy baseball is ridiculous. It truly is, dude. And if you're like me, like trying to be a perfectionist, you're never going to enjoy fantasy baseball because you make that decision and then it doesn't rain, and then they pinch hit for your guy for some reason in like the 5th inning and take him out of the game. Like it's a nonsense sport, and it's America's pastime, and I hate it. So what was the other option? Knitting? Yeah,
Knitting.
give me knitting. Knitting's what I want to do.
Oh, Coop goes, yeah, knitting. Knitting's what I want to do. That's how he feels about fantasy baseball. I'm gonna play for the next 9 months or whatever it is. And enjoy it.
Oh man, we're gonna have so many nice FYF gifts.
I got the first vote here between Learn to Knit, and by first I mean third vote. It's tied between Learn to Knit and fantasy baseball here. Man, boy, do I love a repetitive, tedious task. And I'm not kidding at all. There's something so relaxing about being able to keep your mind just ever so slightly occupied. Like not enough to stress me out, but just the tedium of doing something repetitive, and then something gets created from that task. You know what I mean? I do tedious things all the time, like just hit up terror raids in Pokemon over and over and over and over again. And there's like, I don't know, nothing really changed from that. I'm just doing it. It would be great to have a blankie come out the other end. Fantasy baseball sounds like something I'd get way too into.
Have a blankie come out the other end.
I would love to have a blankie come out the other end. So I'm going to, just so I can have blankies come out the other end, I'm going to go with Learn to Knit here.
But now let me just, I don't want to, that was beautifully spoken, but I don't want to throw any wrenches in your plan here. But if you win your fantasy baseball league, you can probably buy a fucking awesome blanket.
Yeah, but am I going to win?
Probably not. I mean, maybe. Maybe.
One of them comes for sure.
We're gonna do a fantasy baseball league, though, right?
Yeah, we're gonna do a fantasy baseball.
Anyone in the chat right now, if you want in on our fantasy baseball, and Kevin Tompkins, great point. We're gonna do best balls. I want to do fantasy baseball, best ball. But anybody that wants in the fantasy baseball league in the chat, if you say it now, you're in. So get them out there. We'll do a 12-team, pretty standard. Tommy's in, so we have 4 of us as of now. Producer Keith will be knitting instead. Smart choice. So yeah, hit us up if you want in on fantasy baseball. We're gonna play. We'll just do like a standard 5x5 category league. Do you guys want to do weekly rosters, or say roster weekly, or set it daily?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not daily. Like there's no way. I can't keep up with it. It won't happen.
We got Kevin Tompkins is in, Victor's in. I'll keep track of who's going to be in.
Ernie said daily. Tommy said weekly.
Dog, you in, bro?
Dog's a glutton for punishment. He loves the daily fantasy baseball. Daily, that's what he wants all
daily.
About.
Honestly, though, daily is if you are the kind of person that remembers to set your lineup, daily is easier.
And what if you're the kind of person who doesn't remember to set their lineup every day?
Well, then it's going to be a lot harder for you.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot harder. We've got a solid group already ready to play some fantasy baseball. I'm excited to get into it this year.
Kevin says hourly.
That would be even easier, honestly. You know, if you could just like halfway through a 3 hour or 4 hours if it's Yankees Red Sox, just kind of take a dude out. That would be nice. All right, Victor, we have Erndog, Victor, Tommy, the three of us. That's 7 people. We're already more than halfway to a league, guys. But let's get back on track.
We got it. Let's hit this next matchup. We are into the second round here. And first up, we've got watch all 1,223 episodes of Pokemon versus Get Jacked. JL, what are you doing here? Are you watching all of the Pokemon animated series, or are you getting jacked at the gym? I guess it doesn't have to be at the gym.
I have 2 answers. The answer that in my head I should answer, and the answer that realistically I'm going to take here. And I'm going to take the gym. I can't watch that much Pokemon. That's entirely too much Pokemon. I can go to the gym once a day.
Yeah, I'm gonna steal your cop out, JL, from last round, which is that if I just pick Pokemon, right? Like it all depends. Like I can go to the gym if I'm at the gym, which I actually have.
Probably gonna be watching Pokemon at the gym.
I work out at my house. Yeah, like I could throw a Pokemon on and work out. But if I'm solely focused on Pokemon, I mean, I guess you could do both. You can really do all these things if you really want to do. It's not that hard to knit and also do kickball. But anyway, it's got to be Get Jacked. It's got to be Get Jacked. And maybe this offseason I will get jacked. We'll see. But watching Pokemon is that many episodes even at 20 minutes a pop. We're talking days of my life that I'm spending watching Pokemon. You know, I just can't do it. Not gonna do it.
I've done a little bit of math here, guys, and it is about, let's assume 6 months of the off season, 30 days in a month. You're going to watch approximately 2.5 hours of Pokemon every day to make this happen. Now, that being said, maybe on a Saturday, you hit 5 hours one Saturday, it's on in the background. That's what I'm thinking is like, that's really not that much, especially if you're doing other stuff while you do it. And that sounds a lot more pleasurable than lifting weights.
You changed my mind.
I'm switching to Pokemon. I can watch 2.5 hours of Pokemon a day, and that's where I'm voting.
I'm with you, Simon. I'm switching my vote too.
You're switching your vote?
Yep.
And we got Pokemon moving on past Get Jacked.
I'm switching my vote too. Who needs to be jacked? It's all Pokemon.
Pokemon.
We got Gersh in the chat asking, did this network start last year? Well, Gersh, the answer to that question is technically yes. It started in the year of 2022. This is now the year 2023. But the reality is that this network, Better Sports Network, is less than a year old. It started right towards the beginning of football season in August. So you guys are kind of getting into the ground floor, man. You're getting in here early, part of something special that you can say at some point when Better Sports is, you know, the dominant. I'm not sure quite what it is, whether it's a TV channel or a radio show or just a entertainment show where we talk about cranking sausages and knitting sweaters, but you're in here at the ground floor. So kind of cool that you're hanging out with us, Gersh. Thanks for popping in. Thanks for being you.
Yeehaw! August 29th is the day of our first show. And here we are now on show number, what is it, like 96? And we've got our next matchup. Coop, you've got the first vote here. Adult Kickball League versus Learn to Knit. Who's moving on?
Let's see. Learning to Knit versus Adult Kickball League. All right. This is going to probably be offensive to some folks out there. But I really need to have more appreciation for things that have been knitted. For the most part, you know, when someone gives me something that they knitted, I'm like, thanks. You know, I kind of am pretty particular about my own clothes. I like to buy them myself, usually from a store. So for me personally,
when are they not from a store?
When someone knits it and gives it to me. So typically that's how I get most of my stuff. Like I'll tell you right now, I'm not gonna lie to you. When I'm ranking my top 10 hats, the one that was knitted for me, not cracking the top 10. Maybe I need to find better knitting friends. Maybe I could be that. Maybe I could be the knitter I've always wanted to be. But I'm a sports guy. I like hanging out, drinking beers, hanging with the gang. Adult Kickball is what I'm going to pick here. So sorry, knitting. Knitters need to step up is what I'm calling to the knitting community. Knit something cooler. I've seen trash sandwich. With the exception of friend of the show, Trash Sandwiches, who she does knit very cool stuff. But
have you ever knitted an iPad?
Prove me, yeah, exactly, dude. Knit me a pair of shades, bro.
Knit me loving parents. Why don't you?
Right,
Yeah.
dude? Knit me
How
a better
about that?
childhood.
Knit my grandpa back alive, and then I'll be impressed.
Please, but please don't. But please don't. Frankenstein's out there like, oh, finally. Frankenstein's like, finally, I'm up. You know.
Also, War Chungus in here saying, glad I found this show. I'm on West Coast and start my commute 5 a.m. Pacific. We're glad you found this show, War Chungus. And good God Almighty, that's early.
Chungy. That's one of our only West Coast fans.
And Victor said, why be your own personal trainer when you can be a Pokemon trainer? Absolutely. And Nick and you saying adult kickball just sounds like a blast. Strong style agreeing. Kickball is awesome. And Nick wants to know, do you prefer bouncies or rollies when you're up to kick? So JL, do you want a bouncy or a rollie?
Such a good question. A bouncy or a rollie? I think I want a bouncy because I want to time it. I want to time it perfectly where I can get right underneath that bad boy. Send him soaring.
Yeah,
I'm taking a rollie. That's what
you're gonna
I
scoop.
Prefer.
You're gonna do the dustbin.
I trust my ability to not pop out off a rollie a lot more than I do off a bouncy. Like maybe the home run potential is higher with that bouncy, but my pop out potential, that's what's going to happen 7 out of 10 times is I'm going to pop out instead of getting a nice solid kick.
How come it never feels as good as it should?
What the kick?
Kicking the kickball.
In your mind. That's another in your mind.
When you play baseball and you hit that perfect hit, it's like nothing else.
Crack in the bat. Maybe you're just not good at kicking stuff, dude. That could be part of it.
It just doesn't feel quite as satisfying to kick a kickball.
That's true. Yeah, I think again, it's one of those in your mind things where in your mind you're just blasting this thing, dude. And it's getting fully compressed.
And then it goes like 20 feet.
Yeah. It's like bowling and darts. Like in your mind, you've done it perfectly every time. But give me the bouncy though, because I don't know. There's two kinds of kickball players, really. There's kickball players that are playing for keeps that actually, are champions and winners, and then there are people that are just trying to not look stupid. And I think both are valid players. But if you're a champion and you're playing for keeps, you want that bouncy. You want the highest potential to blast the ball. And anybody out there just trying not to look stupid, take your rollie and try and kick a single or whatever you do.
Well, guys, I got the next vote here in Adult Kickball League versus Learn to Knit. Coop went with Adult Kickball League, and I'm going with Learn to Knit. I think learning a new skill sounds very exciting. The Adult Kickball League, while it's going to be a ton of fun, I don't like committing to just dedicate a night every week to one particular thing. I don't like that. What if I don't want to do that night? What if I just want to sit on the couch and watch House Hunters International instead of playing kickball that night? So I could learn to knit, and I can do that whenever I want to. So I'm rolling that way. JL, what about you? It's tied 1-1.
Adult Kickball League or learning to knit?
Yeah, those are the options.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Adult Kickball League. That sounds like way more fun. It's going to force me to get out because, Simon, I'm like you. I don't always want to do that night. That's why the league makes me get up. It makes me get out there. And as soon as I'm out there, I'm having fun.
Right.
Happens every single time without fail.
You're right.
It's in the social aspect, right? The knitting, knitting can be social. Like if you have like a knitting club, but I mean that sounds even more antisocial than knitting by yourself. Right. Knitting club.
That's a thing. I think that's a thing.
I feel like
I've heard of that.
Yeah, that's just no.
Did you guys see the girl on TikTok that knit a poop blanket? It's not out of poop, but you've heard of temperature blankets. There's temperature blankets where you knit a row every day based on the temperature outside. And based on the weather, it may change the color and the pattern, and then the thickness is dependent on the temperature.
It's like a mood ring?
Kind of. So she did one very similar where every day she knit a full row of this blanket over 10 feet long based on how many poops and the texture and consistency of them from the previous day. And this blanket has 365 rows chronicling an entire year of pooping in this blanket. Different thicknesses, different colors, different stitch types. It's beautiful. It's a work of art. It covers her entire room and it chronicles a year of her poop history.
That person
I'll have to send it to you.
It's pretty interesting.
That person
Jay in here.
That person needs to be checked in somewhere. I don't know. I'm not even sure where, but they can't be left alone.
Jay said we should live stream trash sandwiches teaching us how to knit. That's absolutely a segment we're gonna do
Trash
now.
sandwich, and I do want people to prove me wrong because I want to believe in the knitting community. But you'll have to send it.
I'll send you some of the chunky blankets that my girlfriend makes. She makes some pretty cool chunky knit blankets that I think you'll be a fan of. Guys, we got our finals here. It is watch all 1,223 episodes of Pokemon versus Adult Kickball League. Coop, you've got the first vote here. Where are you going?
Before we get to that, or can I? How many before we get to that do I have left allowed? I think
I think you ran out last.
But so I saw somebody in the chat mention Foursquare. How do you guys feel about the game Foursquare?
Great, fantastic game.
It's beer pong for children in the sense that there's always house rules based on where you go. Every single person has their own little variations. You can double bounce once. You can gotcha people. You can cherry bomb. Like everyone's got their own special little rules. It's like beer pong for kids with the way house rules work.
Yeah, but the rule, I feel like the rules need to be established up front, dude. Because the blackjacks and the cherry bombs, you got to know what's allowed and what's not. Black magic is like when you just cheat, right? So like, that was like
there were some rules. Were like, okay, now I get to pick up the ball and walk around the edge and then just throw it at the square of whoever I want to be out.
Just throw it right at your face, dude. I mean, if we get one of those red balls, we could play kickball and Foursquare in Vegas.
Oh, we have to. And just get some chalk.
Dodgeball.
And dodgeball. Oh, yes. And Kevin Topkins in here telling on himself that he's never actually seen me because he says JL's got to stop skipping leg day.
No, he's got to
start. I need to start skipping leg day.
He's got the hams, bro.
I got them hams.
You just brought the hams up on you.
Yeah, the meaty bad boys are coming.
Got fish. It's got fish. Looking at BRB, looking up Foursquare courts in Vegas. Yeah, get on it, dude.
We got to do pickleball. Now that I play pickleball, I'm like all hyped to play pickleball with people.
We should.
Yesterday, I was in Home Depot and I walked past these guys and they're all sitting there. And the guy goes, "Yeah, so I got a pickleball tournament this weekend." And like it was very like he had his glasses on his head backwards and he just looked at them like, "Yeah, I got a pickleball." And I was like, "Man, I got to play pickleball. Maybe I'll go join this pickleball tournament." Jay said knitting and kickball at the same time. All right, Coop.
Yeah, you could lose an eye doing that, bud. Back to what we're picking out. Pokemon versus adult kickball. And I got to say, I learned from Jamal Williams himself. I mentioned this on the Fantasy Besties last night, that Jamal Williams is a true man's man. Like a man isn't afraid to wear pink. A man isn't afraid to cry if his great-grandfather died. A man's not afraid to tell you that he loves anime. Like you got to be yourself. That's the manliest thing you do is be yourself and not care what anyone else thinks. So that's why for me, I got to be myself and choose the one where you drink beers and hang out with the boys and kick a bunch of balls because that's what I want to do. And I love Pokemon. I'm not afraid to say that I like Pokemon too. You know what I mean? But the kind of guy that I am is a kickball kind of guy. So
you know what?
Gotta go kickball.
That sounds just so right for Coop. Drinking beers and hanging out with the boys sounds exactly like what you should be doing in your free time now that fantasy football season's over.
Like you do that all the time.
The thing is I'm doing a beer hiatus, the Big Chungus Challenge. Shout out War Chungus in the chat. But Big Chungus Challenge is a thing that we do where it's a diet thing for like 6 weeks or so, where we don't drink at least until the Super Bowl and you eat healthy and do all that. So no BLs for the time being for me. But as soon as that's done, back to BLs.
Those Zabubs are coming back.
Beelzebub's coming out.
Well, I got the next vote. I see Strong Style Ninja in the chat saying Dragon Ball greater than Pokemon is a big fan of it. Said I'm the same way with Dragon Ball. I'm not going to fight you on that. I think they're both great, but I do like Pokemon a lot better. And my vote here is going to be going towards watching all 1,223 episodes of Pokemon. Haven't watched all of them, but I have laid in my dungeon of a basement at my parents' house in high school over the summer and just spent like 2 days where I didn't leave. And then I checked my phone like, oh, I guess I had things I was supposed to be doing, people I was supposed to be talking to, where I just watched Pokemon. I know I can do it for hours and hours at a time. So I'm voting for that one. JL, what about you?
You believe in yourself.
Here's the thing. I'm torn. This feels like the worst matchup for me.
For you.
Yeah, this is really tough because I really do love doing both of these types of things. Like getting just deep into a Pokemon marathon sounds right up my alley. I'm going to do this either way. I'm going to watch that Pokemon either way. Even if I'm doing the kickball league, I'm joining a kickball league, I'm watching those Pokemon episodes regardless. I gotta go with the kickball league though, because
No.
here's the difference. Here's the difference for me. It's free time now, right? Now that I didn't have before. Most of the really like the prime time for a adult kickball league is a Thursday night. I've talked about it before. Thursday, best day of the week. You got the anticipation of the weekend. Kickball just enhances that. And you can't do that during the NFL season. At least I can't, because this is my job. I got to go with the kickball league now, because I'm going to watch those Pokemon episodes anyway. I'm not really using my free time that I have now to do that.
You bring up a great point, JL. The appointment aspect of it. During the season, I may have time for things that aren't appointment aspects. Know what I mean? Where I can just do it whenever I want. But it's the kinds of things where it requires you to be a place at a certain time that maybe I don't have time for during the season. You changed my mind. I'm leaving my depression dungeon, and I'm going to join the adult kickball league and make some friends.
All three of us, let's make a team.
We're doing it. We made it.
We did it. We went together. I just watched a man go through the struggles of body versus mind and heart. and I'll say, Jay, I think he came out a better man on the other side.
I think I did too. I had no idea where that was going when I started it.
I think we all grew this day.
Turner in here saying, I've low-key seen the F out of that whole series many times. Season 10 through 14 are the fire.
The flames.
I haven't watched 10 through 14. I've made it up through the first couple seasons a bunch of times, but I haven't watched a lot of the later seasons.
I've been rewatching Adventure Time now, so I'm gonna have to pivot and go watch some.
Adventure Time is dope, dude. Adventure Time. I actually watched Adventure Time. The second time I watched it, I had so much more appreciation for like the ancillary characters. Like
like
Marcelines,
Peppermint.
The deeper ones. The janitor, old Starchy
Cinnamon Bun.
Good characters, dude. Good characters for sure.
Also, Victor said, "Hand over your Pokemon badges, boys." SM. Don't hear me wrong, Victor. I'm gonna watch Pokemon also. It's just not gonna be at the times that I'm playing adult kickball, or throw my headphones in, get some Pokemon on my phone. While you can play kickball like this.
You know what I'm gonna do this offseason, Simon? I'm gonna play Lucra.
Yeah, guys, if you guys like making bets, we do have a sponsor right now. Lucra is sponsoring Better Sports Network right now, and you guys should check that app out. It's a pretty cool app where you can make bets with your friends on just about anything. The sports you're watching at night, cornhole, darts. We've talked about darts and bowling a lot here. So if you want to go play a game of darts and make that social bet with your friends, you can do that through the Lucra app. Download it and use code BSN. You're going to get $5 for free to make your first bet. So go on there and test it out. We could get one together, knocking it out between the two of us.
Wow, you're even more passionate about Lucra than I am.
And Turner, and you're saying, my bros B and Puppy Cat, the lo-fi of visuals, you're missing out on those Diamond and Pearl seasons right there. Maybe we should do an FYF watch party of some of those later seasons, some of those Diamond and Pearl seasons.
I got to start at the beginning because I've only seen sporadic episodes, of which I enjoyed. But I need to, I think I need to start at the beginning. I'm switching mine actually to Pokemon.
We both switched to kickball. Coop switched to Pokemon. And guys, that's going to be it for us this morning. Thank you so much for hanging out with us bright and early on this Tuesday, January 10th. We'll be back tomorrow, Wednesday, January 11th from 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern time for some more Front Yard Fantasy morning nonsense. Stick around today, the rest of the day, for some more content here on BSN. Up next, we got Moose and Keith, followed by Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray, then Corey Nando and friends right after that. The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis at 5 p.m. And then, like mentioned earlier, at 7 p.m. tonight, we got Tour Junkies with David Barnett and Pat Perry. So stick around, get your golf fix with them later tonight. Until tomorrow, though, we are out of here. Enjoy your Tuesday. Adios, everyone.
Come play Spy with us.
We're playing